Fucking finally, bro. All right. Now we're live everywhere. Now we're live everywhere. Now we can get started officially. My apologies. Let's go. All right. Fuck it. I'm gonna punish y'all. We'll take it out on FD later first. I'm gonna take it out on y'all. The fuck is this? FD's homie PF Jung debating Wick TV about anti-Semitism. That's hilarious. That seems like a good time. And this I'm sure is not AI. All right. We'll watch this first. Fuck it. Let's lose viewerships off the jump if I haven't already.
And Republicans and moderates who voted for Trump go, yay, we're voting for him. Then the Iran war starts, and you get a fraction that break away and say this is a mistake. It's going to cause us problems. Yeah. But there's this diehard mega cult that says, no, we're in favor of it now. Trump is right the whole time, no matter what. And they invert their position because Trump is their position. My
Isn't
point
that
is
like what you guys were saying though?
About what?
On Timcast? I feel like I saw something where there was like this theory that the Iran war was meant to like strangle China and like U.S. adversaries.
How is
that true, or is that position changed?
No, that's absolutely my position. But how is that support of?
Well, isn't that saying that like there's a strategic reason why we need to do this to like hurt our adversaries?
Well, you're interpreting need.
Yeah, trying to understand what's going on is not the same.
See, this is the problem with the internet, right? I have a video where I literally said, "This is a failure. I'm sorry, it just is, and Trump's not going to tell you the truth about it." I understand what they're trying to do if you look at the bigger picture, but a lot of people who don't pay attention are going to scream Israel did it. But when you look at every single move Trump has made, it even predates Trump. All of this is lining up the Gulf of America, even the renaming of it, for oil exports to originate from the Gulf, from the port of Houston. That's why you've got Panama, Venezuela, Cuba. That's why you've got the attempts at the Northwest Passage, and China's oil imports are being cut off. None of that is to say it's good we did it. In fact, I literally called it a failure. Trump is now draining the SPR to levels we've not seen since 1982 to try and stabilize gas prices because our economy is screwed up. But for some reason, literally starting a video with Trump is failing and he's going to lie about this. People go, I guess Tim supports the war now. And I'm like
I support in a way American military dominance. I used to think war bad, stop. But now I'm like, well, what's the alternative here? Chinese military dominance? Because it's going to be somebody militarily dominating the planet.
It just seems.
And we can't have the goddamn Chinese running the globe. Think about it. The globe is a sphere. How the hell is that Chinese going to run it if they can't see an entire sphere? Think about it. All right? Now, it's the white man's responsibility to lead the world, civilization, forward. We must be in control. We must have military dominance in order to civilize the rest of humanity that may be a little, what is the appropriate term to say? Backward. Bro, this idea, and BJ Prashad was actually talking about this with Brianna Joygray, about there's people on the left, forget, a reactionary like this guy. There's people on the left who truly believe that despite how horrible the United States is, it is better for the U.S. to have control than, let's say, Russia, Iran, or China, right? Let me see if I can find that real quick. Because it's an hour-long conversation. I'm sorry. I'm not sitting through an hour-long conversation of Brianna Joy Graham and BJ Prashad
There is some,
and that's even saying that I truly believe at this point that the Indian accent is my favorite accent. Where is it here? Like despite, or let's just go. Let's go Russia. Oh, here it is. Perfect. Yeah, almost the hour in to get to this section here. There's some good moments in this conversation, but overall, a lot of fluff. And I hate how VJ kept saying, oh, you know, there's people here that I trust. I was crying writing a response, and yet they refuse to tell me who wrote the initial letter. Come on, bro. You can't be acting that fucking naive.
okay, let me, I'm gonna leave you in a second, but let me just put it to you quite bluntly. Okay, please. Here's me being very blunt.
And I love this whole look that VJ is going for. The whole, hey, my fellow kids. Like, I love that shit. Keep it. Keep the youth alive, VJ. Good for you, man. Good for you. Don't let them hold you down, bro.
There is a section of US liberalism and a section of the US left and the European left, which believes that however bad Atlantic imperialism is, however bad, that China, Russia, Iran, these countries are worse. And these countries are worse because they are barbarians. And they somehow are more authoritarian, they are totalitarian, that the Cuban government, the Venezuelan government are worse than the United States. That however bad the US is, and by God, we know how bad they are.
By God. By God. Fucking hilarious, man. I guess if there's a positive in the British colonizing India, no, I'm just kidding. It's the fact that we get this wonderful accent with these, like, for me, British ass fucking sayings. My God. I love it. I love that shit. So fucking dramatic. I still need to watch that movie, what is it? Baron Linson or some shit like that? I don't know.
These governments are worse. There is a thin edge of northern supremacy, of this idea that, you know, at least the United States is a liberal democracy. However bad Donald Trump is, he could go out of office or be weakened in the midterms. But those other countries, they are barbarians.
I mean, it was kind of reminds me of how the Vanguard said that they would vote for, I was going to say Ben Shapiro, the other Shapiro. Ooh, what's his first name? It's not Chris. He was considered potentially the VP for Kamala Harris. What's his name? Something Shapiro. What's his first name, chat? It's not Ben Shapiro. What is it? Let me adjust over here. All right. Tony Shapiro. Josh Shapiro. Thank you so much, Josh Shapiro. How they're like, yeah, we'll vote for Josh Shapiro because at least he believes in democracy. And I'm like, he's a fucking Zionist. How can he believe in democracy? They're all clowns, bro.
And I just wanted to put it to you as bluntly as possible. I think a lot of this stuff is propaganda that feeds into the idea that the barbarians are worse. And thank God for the United States for fighting against barbarians and defending political prisoners.
I mean, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's like, yeah, we might be awful. We might be committing genocide. We might be doing that. But at least we can vote. We could vote for a righteous leader, a righteous party. We could redeem ourselves through the ballot box. The rest of these backward barbarians don't have that. They have totalitarian states, authoritarian states, communism, socialism. It's abhorrent. It's unchristian. It's unwhite.
How could a political prisoner within the United States write a letter like that? It's not conceivable.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that. I feel even among the left, and I don't want to overstate things, but there is definitely there's a sentiment that says an inter-left attack that says, oh, those tankies or whomever, their whole criticism of everything is America is bad. America is bad is their only analysis, and they are unwilling to look at problems in other parts of the world, be critical of China, be critical of North Korea, whatever it is, because
just this narrative, like, oh, you just hate the U.S. Yes, and no, like it's this whole idea of like, oh, well, oh, go back to your country. It's the equivalent. It's the equivalent. It's the liberal equivalent of go back to your country. If you don't like it, leave it. Love it or leave it, brother. But with liberal linguistics to make it, themselves feel better about being xenophobic, fucking racist, white supremacists, nationalists. But keep in mind, like, this is imagine you had a partner and you're like, hey, you're not really attentive. You're not really present. Your jealousy is getting really, really uncomfortable. Things like that, right? And instead of addressing the issues of like, oh, you know what? Okay, yeah, it's been tough lately. I'm going to get myself together. I'm going to be a better partner. I'm going to be present. I'm going to work on my insecurities. All this shit, all this stuff. They're like, at least I don't hit you. There's partners out there that are physically abusive or psychologically abusive. You're so lucky, and you should be grateful to have me as your partner, right? And in the moment you hear that, you're like, oh, I need to fucking run. I need to run. The problem here is, if we were to run, if we were to say, all right, we're going to pack our bags and leave and let these backward European Americans do what they always do, which is cannibalize each other, tear each other apart, burn each other at the stake and all this nonsense. If we were to leave, we would just be targets to them. It would just be targets. It would be no different than the people abroad. And that's what they want. Fundamentally, that's what they want.
They're just America's bad. And that is so prevalent, that argument, that it makes me think they understand, somebody somewhere, not to be all op focused, but somebody somewhere understands the power of the imperial analysis that says, yes, America and the West is the root of so many global problems. And that is a useful filter to understand the world. That is why you've had all these attacks on sort of not just critical race theory, but the broader sort of analytical structure that talks about colonialism and oppressed peoples, because it is a very common sense way of understanding the world that really resonates with people the second you scratch the surface. And
not just people, colonized people, the colonized proletariat. The reason why the Sam Teachers of the world, the Hassan Pikers of the world, have to muddy the waters and talk about apartheid, talk about emancipation, and not decolonization and liberation, is so that you don't get any fucking ideas here. Because they want to maintain their position of power, of dominance, of racial privilege, of superiority. The one that benefits the colonizer, the invader, the invasive species, right? So keep in mind, like, that's why they embrace this weird kind of like populism, or at the very least, a unscientific socialism, right? One where it's a national socialism that is meant to prioritize the majority. It's always in the name of the majority. I mean, it's literally called the Majority Report. So who are you reporting on? What are you talking about? Who are you advocating on behalf of? Whiteness, white people, colonizers. At least they're honest about it. It's just a shame that people don't fucking take them at face value, the same way that TYT is named after the Young Turks who have started the Armenian genocide. I mean, we're not going to get all fucking third eye conspiracy theory fucking Illuminati, but they're upfront about who they are. Hell, you can make the argument that Brianna Joy Gray and naming it Bad Faith is also fucking honest, right? She knows better. She's a hell lot more educated, and yet she kind of like dumbs down her analysis, or she makes her analysis rudimentary, right? In order to appeal to whiteness, to these populist, like flirting reactionaries, if not outright reactionaries. but definitely this kind of weird post-duopoly bullshit.
Get out of your sort of Western indoctrination. And I do think that there's value then in saying what even to me, I have to admit, feels a little like weird given my own indoctrination that says like, oh, maybe North Korea wasn't the problem. You know, like, oh, maybe there is all, you know, weird.
Somebody sent me a TikTok or some shit like that. Well, this guy being like, oh, it's so tough for North Koreans. Can you imagine this and that? And they caught me in a day where I'm like, I have no fucking capacity, patience to explain to you in a polite and gentle manner why this is so wrong. Like, your family fled fucking Mexico because of the overexploitation by the capitalists there and US treating it like it's fucking backyard. And you're over here talking about like what, pray for fucking North Koreans who went like through multitudes of times worse at the hands of the US imperialism than you ever did. I didn't have patience for it. I just ignored it. You know, with certain people, you have to be delicate. And so if you can't, you just got to push forward and move on and be like, we'll circle back to this nonsense at some point. But my silence, as a loudmouth, opinionated person, my silence does go a long way, let me tell you that much.
They're being propagandized as much as we talk about what they're being propagandized as to believing there. We understand this is easier with places like Cuba. It's harder with places like Iran. Because of the women and the children and the, you know, Islamic revolution of it all. And so I do, for that reason, I see an enormous value in you having written this piece. So thank you. Yeah, and I see an enormous value in us getting the sort of...
Look, I have a lot of criticisms about Vijay Prashad. The man's a cutie. The man's a cutie fucking patootie. Look at this. Look at him. Look at him. Look at that. Come on. Come on. You know, of course, all brown men are beautiful, so I'm biased here, but look at him. Look at him. All right, VJ. Vijay Prashad, the official cutie patootie of the deculturation stream. Hell's Angel VJ, yeah. Ride. He seems like a genuine fucking sweetheart. Look how he immediately reacts when she's like, oh, you wrote a great piece. And he got a fucking gold star.
And I see an enormous value in us getting...
Now I want to read it. Now I want to read it just to like, did he deserve this praise here? But he really, like, he took it to heart, which is so sweet. And I'm assuming that when you get older and like younger people who are, we're being honest, more relevant than you, still read your work and praise it and find it valuable, I'm sure it's heartwarming. It's like, I still got it. The kids still think I got it. That's hilarious. Let's see. 'Mm, no, he had to do it for the Tricontinental, right? Is that what it go by? I forget what his... Yes, Tricontinental. Have we... I mean, I'm sure we read one or two pieces. I'm not the biggest, like a fan of... You know, I'm a fan of a lot of people, but not necessarily this outlet. What is the criticism for VJ? I'm blinking out right now. Like a Trotsky kind of thing? 6 days ago, it has to be this one, right? Yes. All right, let's read a little bit of this. Fuck it. And then we'll get back to the whole temple thing. You're all lucky I'm not punishing you or my technical difficulties. Wait, who's flirting with what? With who and what? Are we behaving? I know some people get a little rowdy when they see Brianna Joy Gray. Come on, let's not do that. I'm hoping it's not that. We've addressed this before. Oh, to John Trudeau. She so casually flirts and the dudes eat it up. Am I wrong? What are you talking about? I have never seen Brianna Joy Gray flirt with anyone. What are we doing here, y'all? Come on. In fact, I already thought that Jackson Hinkle was a fucking like op. On a like Valentine lefty kind of dating show that she did for Bad Faith, she had him on, and this motherfucker continued to hit on her. Like just disgustingly. I wonder if it's still up. Disgustingly so. Bad Faith, let's see. Valentine. Dating. Jackson.
Men write in their profile things like, oh, I love a woman who can debate. Like, I love a woman with opinions, have something to say. That's a red flag.
I'm not.
I would never advertise that. I would never, it's like the whole thing. Don't ask for patience because God will give you something to be patient about. Ugly, why do I remember that? Because it was so fucking disturbing.
Not going to fault somebody for being a victim of this capitalist system. And if their heart and values align with
God. Just so vapid, man.
mine, bring it all over, baby. We'll start something.
I'm suspicious of the idea that your work should be the place where all of your ambition goes. And so I kind of want to be open to the people who
4 years ago, and it's imprinted in my fucking mind because of how disgusting it was. Oh, here we go. Of course, another fucking incel, probably part of ACP.
It didn't work out.
Do you have Valentine's plans?
I do not, Jackson Hinkle. I do
You
not
should
have
come out to
Valentine's
LA with
plans.
me. We'll have come out to LA. We'll have a great. I know I'm not from a marginalized community, but
And he's not joking. And he's not joking about, I know I'm not from a marginalized community. This guy is a fucking like white supremacist. I mean, if he believes in anything, right? Remember when Jackson Hinkle said that is like the toughest thing is to be a white man? Being a white man or some shit like that. What was that tweet that fucking Nick Cruz defended? Yeah, I'm not gonna find it. Like something like it's harder to be a white man than it is to be a person of color, some shit like that. But he'll tweet shit like this. I can't find the one I'm looking for. Young women these days can't cook like their mother, but can drink like their father. That's a problem. And he was consistently like advocating for Andrew Tate. Oh, here we go. The Greta Thunberg response to Andrew Tate is the most bot-like tweet I've ever seen in my life. No one likes that little depopulation twerp, so she is buying likes. Like literally siding with a sex trafficker, rapist, over someone in Greta Thunberg who has put like thrown away the career that she could have had as a like a marketable uh, environmental white women, and has put like her safety on the line repeatedly. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Straight white men face an infinitely larger struggle in today's society than transgenders and people of color. So when he says, I know I'm not part of a marginalized community, he's not joking.
We'll come out to LA. We'll have a great. I know I'm not from a marginalized community, but we can have a great. I know, and I'm only 22,
Jackson
but we can have a
Eagle is
great
gonna
time.
shoot his shot. Jackson, you are 22 years old. You were born in like 1997.
He's 22. That's rough, man. The way they age, these soulless fucking inbred creatures, the way they age.
Or something. When were you born?
1999, but I'm mentally more mature, maybe.
I'm not even gonna address that. I'm gonna take the higher road here. What are we doing? What are we doing? A throwback 4 years ago. Him and Ryan Grimm, exactly. A match made in heaven. I mean, look, it's right here. In fact, no one can deny this. Now I'll pin this. Evidence. Lindstack, the sheriff, saying him and Ryan Grimm hearts. Like she can't choose. Lindstack can't choose. She's like, which white man for my Valentine's Day? Oh man, what is it from Step Brothers? He's like, she said, out of the old bull, now it's time for the young calf. I gotta pull that up just for Lindstack. Just for Lindstack. Fuck it. Support the channel. We're about to get demonetized. The stream is about to get demonetized. Here we go.
All right. Here's a scenario for you, Dan. Suppose Nancy sees me coming out of the shower and decides to come on to me. I'm looking good. Got a luscious V of hair going from my chest pubes down to my ball throw. And she takes one look at me and she goes, oh my God, I've had the old bull, now I want the young calf. And she grabs me by the wings.
All right, I forgot where it goes. My apologies. Hold on. Let me unremove this. I forgot that part. Sorry. I forgot that part. It is rated R, I assume. My apologies. All right, that went too far. The dad does say, shut the fuck up. Which is, I only remember the young half part and then the shut the fuck up. Ay. I think the intro song got you demonetized already. That's impossible. Me and AZ Shike are like this. I called them. We were good. All right, let's read this by Vijay Prashad. I think we've had a good time joking around. Yeah, we'll speed read this. All right. No, I actually want this. Allow. Okay. Dear friends and colleagues, the United States and Israel launched a war of aggression against Iran in February of this year. For 6 months, U.S. missiles and bombs have fallen upon civilian and military targets inside the country. Hospitals, schools, energy facilities, and neighborhoods have been struck. The 168 schoolgirls killed in Manab have become the terrible symbol of this war. Iranians have been forced to live under the constant expectations of another attack, while Iranian families outside the country endure the peculiar agony of watching the destruction from afar. This follows on 3 years of Israeli genocide in Gaza, which has been carried out due to the relentless military support of the United States. Iran did not begin this war. The United States and Israel did. Iran is resisting an armed attack upon its territory and its people. The elementary fact must be determined. That elementary fact must determine the timing, language, and political responsibility of anyone who writes about Iran at this moment. It is in this context that I read your open letter to Iran's political prisoners. Among you are former political prisoners such as Angela Davis and a current political prisoner, Mumia Abu Jamal. I have stood in agreement with many of you on most of the great questions of our time. Of course, there are elements of your letter with which I agree, but I feel that this letter, at this time, plays a politically damaging role. Just when the United States and Israel are on the back foot, this letter can provide the kind of political confusion that mystifies the actual political dynamic on the ground. Iran has a strategic advantage, having transformed the US-Israeli question, should Iran be allowed to have nuclear weapons, into an Iranian question, should Iran allow commerce through its territorial waters unimpeded. That provides the background of the left's moral clarity, the war of aggression that has failed and that has put Iran, as well as its neighbors, into a discussion about regional security rather than imperial security. And I think that is, again, whatever criticism we may have of Vijay Prashad, I mean, this is as accurate as it gets. This is as accurate as it gets. I've heard people in frustration be like, yeah, like the Donald Trump administration should have planned for Iran shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. But also people saying like, yeah, that it makes fucking sense that Iran will shut that down. Like, it's their right. Now, some of those people will also go step further and be like, and we need to make sure they can't do it again. But this letter from the global north provides the kind of ideological cover that the US loves. If the US has lost, then let all sides lose and let all sides be at fault. Yeah, true. This is why I believe, like, and this is, you know, I try not to talk about this too much and express this, but if we're talking about revolution, if we're talking about decolonization, let's use the Zionist entity as an example. I do believe they will use the Samson option if they're ever threatened to the point of brink of destruction, right? And I think that's no different here. That might be early programming from watching, you know, Planet of the Apes when I was too young and seeing how they worship a nuclear warhead. But I think it would get to that point. The central image, two blades of a scissor, is evocative, but erroneous.
Evocative.
Evocative. I said evocative, huh? I read like evil. Evocative. All right, but isn't that like almost like sexually like isn't that like alluring, like flirtatious? Bringing strong images, memories, or feelings to mind. Oh, okay, so it's not sexual. I guess kind of like how arousing isn't necessarily sexual, right? It just means like rising or bringing forth. Or am I wrong there? Causing excitement, stimulation. Oh no, specifically sexual. Okay. My bad. No. I was kind of right. Causing stimulation to a state of excitement, but also especially sexually exciting. So it can be in a non-sexual way. But I mean, I feel like 99% of the time it's going to be sexual. Listen, Jordan Peterson told me to make my bed and that everything is about sex and crabs. But hopefully not crabs from having sex. All right, this is why I try to keep this PG-13. All right, come on. The central image, two blades of a scissors, is evocative but erroneous. It suggests that one of the blades is the Islamic Republic and the other blade is the United States and Israel, with the Iranian people being cut by the two of them. The error of the scissors is not merely that its blades are unequal, it is that the image makes the aggressor and the attack appear as parallel sources of the same danger. And that is so nicely put. That is great. I mean, that's exactly what it's doing. Parallel sources of the same danger. Stripping away the history of hierarchy that connect them. U.S. imperialism is not simply one oppression alongside another. It is the force that has encircled Iran, devastated the region, armed Israel, imposed sanctions upon an entire population, and now brought war to Iranian territory. Your letter places the aggression and its target in the same moral frame. The United States maintains over 900 military installations outside its borders, imposes sanctions upon entire populations, finances and arms Israel's genocide in Gaza, and has destroyed or destabilized country after country. Iran, whatever criticisms one might make of its political system, has never launched wars of aggression. The state born from the 1979 revolution has not launched wars of conquest, but it has instead endured invasion from Iraq at the behest of the West. Encirclement, sanctions, sabotage, assassinations, and now direct attack. The two blades are not equivalent. One is the blade of the imperialist war. The other, whatever its internal contradictions, is the state and society being cut. Okay, VJ. Oh, buddy, no wonder you're fucking smiling fucking ear to ear, dog. This is nice. This is fucking smooth. This is on fucking point. But what I will say is, I would just take it a step further. And not now is not the time. Is shut the fuck up and handle your own business at home. You're worried about the fucking Ayatollah? Meanwhile, your fucking Supreme Court was chosen and fucking picked, selected by a Christian white nationalist evangelical fundamentalist organization. Hollowness. The open letter argues that there is a false binary of imperialism and hollow anti-imperialism. I was interested in the use of the adjective hollow. First, Iran's actual defense of itself. The assassination of Commander Soleimani in Baghdad in Iraq in 2020 marked a decisive stage in the escalation that culminated in the February 2026 illegal attack on Iran. Soleimani was the architect of Iran's forward strategy, namely to build a defensive shield through pro-Iranian armed groups that would attack Israel and U.S. military positions from Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Palestine, and other countries. From 2020, the U.S. and Israel systematically went after that network by trying to destroy Hamas, Hezbollah, Ansarullah, and end the use of Damascus as the base for many of these groups, as well as Syria and Iraq, as logistical lifeline from Iran. As a logistical lifeline from Iran. Having weakened the shield, the US and Israel felt emboldened to attack Iran. But they did not calculate that Iran has built a mechanism to hit the US bases in the Gulf Arab states, and that Iran would restrict access to the Strait of Hormuz. I don't know why I was fumbling so hard there. Jesus Christ. The use of these mechanisms by Iran put it as a strategic advantage over the United States and Israel, the latter which has subsequently receded from the foreground of this war. Iran's anti-imperialism has not been hollow at all, but has, in fact, enabled the Iranian people to protect their country from an imperialist takeover. This is a significant feat that has been celebrated across the formerly colonized world as one of the most consequential strategic reversals suffered by the United States since its defeat in Vietnam in 1975. The withdrawals from Afghanistan and Iraq are of a different character than this strategic upper hand by Iran. Second, in 1979, the Iranian revolutionaries chanted, "Today Iran, tomorrow Palestine." Damn, I didn't know that's fucking beautiful. Bro, we lack such international solidarity. Wow. Indeed, despite the crackdown on the left within Iran in the immediate aftermath of the revolution and with the formation of the Islamic Republic, the commitment to Palestine remained firm. Iran has never even hinted at normalization with Israel, and indeed has been forthright in its defense of the Palestinian cause. No other country in the region has been as committed. But they're evil. To the Palestinian freedom movement, and none has paid so high a price for that commitment. Yeah, man, that is the perfect example of solidarity right there. Why have the United States and Israel been obsessed with Iran since 1979? Not because of any question of democracy. Iran has an electoral political system, although one shaped by the Guardian Council and limitations on political participation, just as the democratic claims of the United States are constrained by oligarch power, racial exclusion, and the domination of money. You see, that is how you criticize, if you are going to criticize Iran. Just be honest. But also provide a Western comparison, preferably the United States, to demonstrate, hey, whatever shortcomings their system might have, it's not unique and it's definitely not fucking evil. It's comparable to other fucking states that are not being restricted in this way, that are not being consistently threatened and outright attacked. Not even because of any nuclear threat. The International Atomic Energy Agency has not established that Iran possesses an active nuclear weapon program. Has not established that Iran possesses an active nuclear weapons program, while Iran's leadership has repeatedly declared nuclear weapons religiously prohibited. Now, this is one thing that, like, man, what was I listening to? Was I listening to this conversation? Man, like, it's so admirable, but so fucking exhausting. And I do mean admirable. I don't want to diminish that whatsoever, right? I'm not going to have a Diallo moment here, but I kinda. It is admirable to be put in that position, to be surrounded by all these hostile powers with nuclear power, and to still say, no, we're not going to use nuclear weapons. And your position and your rooting that is for religious purposes. That's a level of integrity and responsibility and commitment and devotion to your faith that is just bordering on, like, just I want to be, respectful and say that that's the way it should be at the very least, and that's fucking beautiful. And the other side of me is like, get a fucking nuke and protect yourselves. North Korea has set the precedent that the only way that the United States will back off and respect you to any fucking degree is if you have a nuclear weapon. And to use your religion, or to, it's not even use or justify or explain away, but like, it's beautiful, don't get me wrong. But it's not realistic. Yeah, yeah, exactly. The silver lining of theocracy. But man, like, that's what scares me in terms of the long run of the safety and well-being of the people of Iran is seemingly their inability to have a nuclear weapon to defend themselves from nuclear power aggressors. Yeah, no, it's straight up for fucking religious purposes, which is, I can't say this enough. It is so heartwarming and it tugs at the heartstrings and it's beautiful and it's like, damn, that's what religion should be like, right? But also, it's kind of like, is that going to be the thing that forever keeps you in a state of vulnerability? And is that fair to your people? The reason they hate Iran is because it is defiant, and its defiance includes its position for the Palestinian cause. One can have any view on Iran, of course, but to call its anti-imperialism hollow at this moment is inaccurate. Arguably in any fucking moment. What do you... The US must retreat. The open letter closes with two demands. First, that Iranian state must stop their inhuman practices of death and incarceration now. You know, because it's the only state that does this, so of course it must be signaled out now more than ever. Common opposition to death penalty, which I share, does not place the United States and Iran in the same historical or political position, nor does it justify subordinating the immediate demand that the aggressors end its war to the general indictment of the country under attack. During this period of the US illegal war in Iran, the United States put 19 people to death by lethal injection. But the letter says nothing about that, nor about the genocidal treatment of Palestinian prisoners in the Israeli versions of Guantanamo, such as Sadiq Tayman, which Wassan Afifa has written so movingly. The only statement is to say that Iran uses the same logic of domination as Israel, which is a very strange formulation. And you know, I normally never do this, but this is the insufferable position that some anarchists have taken. And it makes it fucking borderline impossible not to get into online arguments and not to be like, are you fucking serious right now? Are you fucking, like, school children are being massacred and you want to do this? All prisons are bad. You want them to release the fucking Zionist collaborators, the straight up fucking Mossad agents? That's your fucking goal? And I keep it to a minimum, but holy fucking shit. At the very least, have some fucking bedside manners. One can oppose the death penalty. One can demand due process and humane treatment for prisoners. One can listen carefully to Iranian workers, women, minority, and political activists. But internal criticism cannot be detached from the concrete conditions in which it is made. The second demand of the open letter is that the US and Israel must end their barbaric wars and brutal sanctions that knowingly devastate our communities. We are in total agreement here. But the letter is not addressed to the United States, but to Iranian prisoners. See, I like this level of pettiness. Like, oh, we agree. But who the fuck are you speaking to? Because you're not calling out the aggressor. That is another curiosity of its formulation. The signatories are mainly US nationals. Why not write to their own government? The letter devotes most of its analytical energy to constructing a common causal logic. While the demand directed against the imperialist aggressors is compressed into its final sentence, the formal condemnation of the war does not undo the political architecture of the letter, which gives parallel status to the US-Israel war of aggression and the Iranian prison system. I mean, honestly, it feels like such a fucking reach. Are you kidding me? The Zionist entities carrying out a genocide? Has concentration camps? Has fucking dungeons filled with Palestinians? Has consistently attacked Iran? And now you want to focus on Iran's political prisoners. Like, where the fuck are your priorities? Where is the hierarchy of your priorities? And can I see the list? What comes after this? What, getting rid of fucking red dye and food? Is that immediately following Iranian prisoners? Somewhere down the list eventually is opposing genocide, I suppose. Or I hope. Frantz Fanon taught us that anti-colonial struggles do not unfold under conditions of their own choosing. States placed under permanent threat of invasion, sabotage, and regime change develop profound internal contradictions, including security institutions that can turn coercion against their own people. You ask global civil society and anti-imperialist activists and organizations to put pressure on the Islamic Republic by challenging its narrative. That is, in sum, asking the people of the world to take a position that would weaken Iran now when it is standing tall against a war of aggression. There is a time to make a demand, and there is a time to act in solidarity. This is a time of solidarity with Iran, and not a time to make a claim that advantages the aggressor imperialist. Dear friends, neutrality or a third space does not exist in the midst of a war of aggression. Would we write such a letter to the Vietnamese government in Hanoi during the US war of aggression, or the Cuban government, which is now facing a terrible strangulation by the United States? Why direct this intervention against Iran at this moment? Why challenge Iran just when it has the United States and Israel on the back foot? Is it necessary to ask Iran to become perfect before you defend its right to survive? Whether it is individuals, colonized individuals, or their states, seemingly American chauvinists demand perfection in exchange for hollow allyship. At this hour, solidarity begins with a clear demand. The United States and Israel must end their illegal war, and they must retreat. Look, hey, bro, I'm telling you. A homie knocked it out of the park. This shit might be fucking perfect. This is bordering on a perfect response. Down to the fucking photo he picked. All right, VJ. All right, no wonder you're feeling yourself, homie. No wonder. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. No wonder you're feeling yourself, dog. No wonder you got this fit on over here. Yeesh.
The sort of confidence to talk about these places in the world that we have been so sort of habituated to only speaking of positively if we caveat the heck out of it, including China. And that's bursting through. I mean, I had a debate by the pool this weekend with some guy. He was like, oh, my brother taught in China and he loved how the public transportation there is so much better than where he's from, Nigeria. And I was like, yeah, the centralized government is great. And he didn't like that at all because he was a finance guy. I was like, socialism is great. He didn't like that at all. But like, I do think that we have to start speaking in those ways. So I want to say, I appreciate you. I appreciate that. I appreciate.
No, you have to bust a Jimmy Dore and be like, but nobody's advocating for communism. Nobody wants that. While you live in that little compound, homie. Where were we? Tim Pool, that's right. Oh, Vic is upset that this is a tangent because they want to watch their favorite political commentator, Tim Pool. My sincere apologies. All right, we're back to the high intellect. Ajuma Baraka also wrote a response to the letter. You just can't give brown men their time to shine, huh? Just can't do it, huh?
What's the alternative here? Chinese military dominance? Because it's going to be somebody militarily dominating the planet.
It just seems like that interpretation is
correct.
A part of the Trump, like.
Hey, I don't know where homie's from originally, but he's got that shit on. Vato's got that shit on right here. All right, dog. Hey, a few fucking lines, like 2 or 3 lines, maybe a little bit of a fucking rat tail going on in the back. A mamalona. This one can pass. This one can pass. You could just say he's from like Durango or some shit like that. If you know, you know.
Post hoc justification for
it's not because they're lying about it and they won't tell you this, and they're telling you it's because of nuclear weapons, which is a lie because they bombed them last year over nuclear weapons. So it's not the Trump's official line is nuclear weapons, and that's not correct.
It's legacy. I think Donald Trump wants to be the president that actually went into Iran and took them down and stopped the regime. We stopped it in Venezuela. We'll stop it in Iran. I'm going to be the president that establishes dominance.
That's a component. Don't get me wrong, but let's start from the beginning.
It's not going to be economic strangling China when Americans are the ones that are also going to take the front, which you agree with if you think that the war is a failure.
What's happening is everyone's losing 20%, but because we're so far ahead, our loss is still going to keep us above everyone else.
So they're taking political suicide in the midterms and potentially in 2028.
They're hurting
so look at it this way. Okay. Let's look at it this way. Let's say you've got half a tank of gas. China's got a quarter tank of gas, and you both have to go 100 miles. Trump's like, I'm going to burn the half tank.
Well, China's getting hurt, but it's not going to cripple them economically.
It's cut their oil by 44%. And they've implemented controls and emergency energy releases. They've switched their taxi fleets from gas to electric already.
Yeah.
How is I'm sorry. How is that a negative? They switched their taxi fleet to electric. That sounds fucking terrifying that they could do that just like that. You should be concerned about that. You should be worried about that. That should be considered a positive for China, bro. And yeah, whatever disagreements I may have with Mason, chill fucking person, very fucking nice, and just cool as a fucking cucumber in these fucking spaces. So credit, because that's not easy.
Yeah, they're
getting choked out. So let's start from the beginning. This is important because people can't seem to understand it. Let me phrase it like this. Not only was I in some of these countries at the start of these conflicts, but I've been tracking this since I was a teenager and involved in the protests around Afghanistan in the Iraq War. Every day of my life reading the news about what was going on. So let's go back.
Bro, look, this is the equivalent of Hassan Piker saying that I've been talking about Palestine for years. And then going and starting a business with the fucking Zionist family. Ethan and Hila Klein. Hila being an IOF vet. Like, you do realize that saying you've been covering this for years just highlights your fucking ignorance. Highlights how off the mark you are and your inability to actually process information and arrive at any logical conclusion.
Not even as far as I can go, but we can go and you know, this is for all the people who might watch this who don't know what's going on and assume that understanding the conflict is support for it. It is not. First, the Qatar-Turkey pipeline, my favorite story. The U.S. went to Syria and said, we want to build a natural gas pipeline from the Persian Gulf through Iraq, Syria, Turkey into Europe to offset the Gazprom gas monopoly. This is a fact. Bashar al-Assad said, no, we are allied with Russia, who has a naval base in Tartus. We are not going to allow you to build a gas pipeline that would offset our allies' control of energy in Europe. Then Syria, Russia, and Iran said, let's tap the same natural gas field, build it through Syria, and strengthen Russia's gas monopoly. Now, this is where there's a gap because I don't want to make insinuations, but surprisingly, within a year, the United States declares that Bashar al-Assad is a terrorist state, and we enter the conflict on the side of the rebel fighters.
Like 2013-ish.
So this is around 2011, actually, the start of it's the Arab Spring into the Syrian civil war, and the United States says we're going to side with the rebels, which ultimately all of them form an Islamist nightmare, which is ISIS.
Islamist nightmare. Islamist nightmare that has never attacked a Zionist entity. What an Islamist nightmare that must be. To not attack the Zionist colonizers. Damn. I wonder whose nightmare that might be.
And they end up with weapons that were delivered by the Obama administration. The speculation, because again, I'm trying to be nice, is that the U.S. needed to remove Bashar al-Assad so we could build a gas pipeline through Syria and Turkey because, again, Russia controlled 20% of natural gas into Europe, and Europe was starting to favor Russian interests because they needed the energy. Fast forward to now we're getting into 2014, 2016. Ukraine was split between staying in the Russian Trade Federation or joining the European Union. Russia says if you join the European Union, European goods are going to flood the Russian market, so we're going to cut you off. Pick one. Unfortunately for Russia, Ukrainians were like, we'd rather be in the EU. We'll be wealthy. If Ukraine joins the EU, the Black Sea, Russia's control or access to the Black Sea would be at risk because Crimea, their only warm water port, is Ukraine. So what does Russia do? They annex Crimea, fearing that Ukraine would fall to the European Union. Also, this would compromise Gazprom. Burisma is the next component, which is how they control the price of gas in Europe. Russia's their principal export is energy. They need it for their economy. We then get the Nord Stream pipelines from Russia into Germany. One of them blows up, Nord Stream 2.
Wow, I never thought to the day. JD Maka co-signing Tim Pool, saying he is the smartest Eurasian the world's ever known. No. Look, it's unfortunate that this very quickly devolves into conspiracy theory nonsense. Or I think a lot of this is meant to promote like isolationism. But at the end of the day, like, you have to look at the flow of money, the flow of resources. Oh, literally, yes, thank you. All roads lead to resource-deprived Europe. This is going to sound like a very crude comparison, but it very much is. If we're talking about like gangster politics or like a pimp, right? You have to have control over the resources like food, housing, safety, you fucking name it, over. I actually don't like this comparison. It becomes too crude too quick. But you need to have control and dominance and require dependency from your allies. Dependency. They must depend on you so that it does not become a test of loyalty, but rather an illusion of an option of loyalty. Because the only way that Europe can get out of this is by literally engaging in armed conflict against the US and protecting its sovereignty. It just will not do that, at least not under these conditions. However, being connected, I mean, again, this is fucking far West Asia over here, being connected to the Asian continent, shit's gonna get tricky at some point. Decisions will have to be made. And you're going to see the entire fucking lockdown and just the complete embrace of the Monroe and Monroe doctrine.
Germany has accused Ukrainians of bombing the undersea pipeline that was delivering Russian gas to Germany. There's speculation that CIA frogmen were involved in this. If it is true that Ukrainians bombed our allies' pipeline in NATO, that would trigger Article 5, and the U.S. would be forced to enter the war against Ukraine. That's insane. Germany has issued an arrest warrant for the Ukrainian who they accuse of doing this. The U.S., I presume, would be on the side of Germany, but for some reason has stayed out of it. Now we get the Ukrainian conflict. Burisma. Joe Biden has his son on the board of Burisma, an energy company. Why? When we couldn't get the Qatar-Turkey pipeline into Europe, the United States shifted its resources to control of Ukraine. If we can get political dominance in Ukraine, we can stifle the Gazprom monopoly through Burisma and other energy sources if Ukraine joins the EU. Hence now, Russia is invading, sealing this land bridge to give them access to Crimea, which is it's the home of their Black Sea fleet. The Kherson Bridge was bombed, so that's not a safe means of access for Russia, and they're not going to spend $1 billion putting up a new base, in Russian territory in the Black Sea and give away their naval port. So now we have this war. Currently now, we have a problem with Israel bombing Syria, Turkey moving in Syria, when Bashar al-Assad has been forced to flee, and the U.S. interest is in getting the Syrian government to allow us to secure these pipelines. That brings us to everything we've seen in the beginning of the Trump administration. He renames the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which seems silly. He takes Venezuela. He's pacified the Caribbean by bombing these vessels, and he's surrounded Cuba, cutting them off from all energy, isolating their government, forcing a destabilization. He renegotiated the Panama deal, and he's currently trying to gain access to Greenland, which would give us military access to the Northwest Passage. Then it brings us to Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, 20% of the world's oil. I do not believe Trump is trying to take out nuclear weapons. I believe the intention is, as Trump just posted, new U.S. territory, is to create permanent control of 20% of global oil exports. Trump wants to dominate the world. Everything he's done has centered oil exporting through Houston and the Gulf of America.
Here's the one thing I will push back on. Let's say this is all accurate. It's not a Trump project then. It's not a Trump project. If anything, you can say that the U.S. government, the establishment, is using Donald Trump's brazen brute force to get this done as quickly as possible. Not efficiently, but as quickly as possible, while using him as an outlier. So that afterwards, once the smoke settles, they can be like, wow, that was wild, wasn't it? Trump was something else. And then they could just pat down everything that he has essentially overthrown. Chirimaka, let's see what you got to say here. See, I could actually take this clip and show to somebody, then take the reins of explaining the white hegemony and violence and all this that the right-wingers never want to talk about. That part. See, if you talk about the economic aspect of it, the resource aspect of it, they're with you. The moment that you mention, and this is how it affects Black, brown, and indigenous people in the regions, they're like, fuck them. That is their response. This is a Richard Medhurst argument. I mean, it's not a complicated argument. It's one hyper focus on resource extraction and navigation.
And now he's shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which has isolated BRICS nations, India, China, particularly.
The Strait of Hormuz.
Sorry, somebody says, yeah, Trump did not come up with this plan. Akuma? You're telling me that the guy who went bankrupt in Vegas, who bankrupted a fucking casino, didn't come up with this? I don't know. I don't know if I can agree with you on that, because that's a mastermind right there.
He did shut down the Strait of Hormuz. He started the war. Then the strait got shut down, and I believe that is the intended condition.
Intentional.
I love this. It's so pathetic. No, you don't understand. And this is why I mean this is too rudimentary. This is too hyper-focused on just one element. And you can make the argument the most important element, sure. But it's just too hyper-focused to the point where Tim Pool has to save face for Donald Trump to say, no, this is all part of an elaborate plan. You don't understand. And it's like, to borderline cripple your economy, to have the whole fucking world upset at you, to not be able to deliver a death blow when you thought you already had delivered a death blow, to be publicly humiliated, that was part of the plan.
Which has isolated BRICS nations, India, China, particularly. He did shut down the Strait of Hormuz. He started the war. Then the strait got shut down.
Yeah, he didn't say shut that shit down. It got shut down in his face.
And I believe that is the intended condition.
Intentional.
Yes.
Well, I think the Israelis started the war, and he joined, and I think the Israelis wanted to destroy the nuclear program. But Trump was like, "Well, now that we're here, we might as well control the oil." You don't think?
Israel wants to obliterate Iran, period, because Iran funds the Al-Qassam brigades, Hamas, as well as the Houthi rebels in Yemen. So Israel is basically saying these guys are the ones making the war against us.
Regime change.
We're going to destroy them. We want regime change. The United States also wants regime change in Iran. That's why we got Iraq and Afghanistan, which is a pincer strike on the Iranians. But Iran is a giant mountain. It's not easy to just take out.
Which
and the
is
U.S.
why
is struggling.
Such a failure is because the only two options left are further escalation, which are taking over the islands in an attempt to do a siege onto the mainland, which is going to fail. Unless we're really willing to obliterate most of the Iranian civilians.
They won't put.
Well, but let's define failure.
Or it's going to be just a.
I don't think we're ever going to see boots on the ground. The death toll would be so fucking drastic. And, you know, post-Vietnam, the U.S. and its media collaborators were able to shut down revealing the truth of war, the carnage of war, to the masses. Now with social media, that's going to be fucking impossible. I mean, if you watch those videos of drones either chasing down Russian or Ukrainian soldiers, bro, like that, I mean, especially when they're fucking with them and they just exhaust them to the point of, like, you see a human being's ability to fight for survival leave their body from pure exhaustion, fear, and the reality that they cannot escape this nightmarish technological death machine, right? This technology of death. And it's different, man. And you're talking to somebody that, like, had, you know, not that I was proactively looking for cartel, because now I think it's like probably like CIA psyop shit. Beheadings on the internet when they were younger, but I definitely was shown it. But that's different than actually seeing somebody sit down in front of their executioner and just desperately trying to catch their breath.
Complete surrender and give the Iranians exactly what they want, which is a restoration fund, which is giving them the reparations that they're asking for, allowing them to continue to control the strait. And we've gone from 150 or so ships that were going through Hormuz to, like, what, 10 now? I think it's the latest.
And I believe that's on purpose.
I read that.
Trump, see, this is what I disagree with.
Hold on, and I believe that's on purpose? You think Trump is like, only 10. Only allowed 10 for the master plan to fucking succeed. What are we doing here, bro? Plus, there's still a shortage of troops, and Americans can't fight a real ground war on mountainous terrain. Now, with that attitude, I would love to see them try. I think, when do you age out of... well, they'll just raise it and start collecting people off the fucking streets like Ukraine. So it wouldn't matter. Oh, I love the whole story. I don't know if y'all been following the story of that U.S. ship that's been out for like hundreds of fucking days. I love that shit, bro. If only there was like a Big Brother fucking cameras all over that was live streaming their torment to us. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. I hope the fucking Camaro was worth it.
Agree with you, because your argument would be Trump accidentally destroyed the U.S. economy.
No, I think that Trump knew that there were going to be risks, but he was willing to take it because he feels this invincible, I'm the it man, I am the guy that's going to tackle Iran.
20 years of U.S. foreign policy.
Well, the last presidential administrations, leading all the way back to Ronald Reagan, wanted Iran to fall. They wanted control, but they were worried of what that would do to the global economy, which is exactly what we're starting to see right now.
Agreed.
And taking this risk and it being a failure.
It's not.
Didn't you say it was a failure?
Indeed. And I don't think the issue is that it's a risk. It's that Trump is not going.
Indeed. Indubitably. Indeed. Why talk like this, bro?
To publicly say we knew this would happen.
Well,
imagine if Trump,
regardless if Trump did say that or not, like it's going to be a failure amongst the American people, which is why there's such disapproval for this war.
Which is why he needs a casus belli, which is, oh, they have nuclear weapons.
But nobody believes that.
I agree. That's why Trump is. What's he going to say? We shut down the Strait of Hormuz to strangle the BRICS nations.
It's better than a lie that nobody believes.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I truly believe this is meant to make Donald Trump still seem like a mastermind, even as you're saying that this is a failure, which only a real fucking shameless, spineless sellout like Tim Pool could accomplish. Do me a favor, y'all. Support the channel. Super chats, super stickers, memberships are turned on. Consider joining the Patreon for $2. You get access to the Discord, where they have the unofficial book club on Saturdays. They're currently on Meditations on Finance Richard of the Earth, as well as the Sunday article readings and the occasional watch-along party or watch party. I'm old. If you want to help support the channel without anyone skimming off the top, hit up the Cash App. I appreciate all the support. Thank you very much. Hit the like button. It costs you nothing. Hit the notification bell if you want to know when I go live. Let's continue with this. And I hope you're all taking notes, because Tim Pool is a genius, a geopolitical mastermind of our generation.
No,
why wouldn't he just say? Why wouldn't he just say we need American economic dominance?
Wait.
We don't want China to be able to continue to get.
You think Trump would get? Would you support Trump if he came out and said?
No.
Who would support Trump if he said we did this on purpose?
Republicans that want to see China crippled.
Yeah, but moderates and Democrats, well, Democrats are out, but the moderates are going to be like, screw off, we don't want war.
So you're saying the moderates approve of him saying that we're going to get rid of their nuclear weapons? I don't think the moderates buy that either.
Most people, if you have two people and you have a choice of what
it doesn't fucking matter what they want, bro. It doesn't fucking matter.
You're going to try to sell them on. You sell them the lowest common denominator. The existential threat of Iranian nuclear weapons is understandable by someone who doesn't pay attention. But if you go to them and say, I just choked out 20% of the global oil supply, causing a global economic crisis, and I'm now draining the SPR to make up for that loss. Why? I want to choke BRICS nations. They're going to say, go F yourself. This is your fault. And they're going to say, I'm going to vote for somebody else. So you go to them and lie and say, but they've got nuclear weapons. We have to stop them. And at least some of those people are going to go, well, I guess so.
Way less than before the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, though, because so many people are keyed into the nonsense.
Let me just say this.
Regardless of what you're saying is the justification, you're agreeing that this is a strategic failure.
As of this point, this has been a nightmare of a conflict. So the SPR being drained down to what, like 100? What's it going to? It's going to 170 million barrels.
With the argument of you
worse than Biden
ceding to that, are you saying that in the future this is going to end up being a net positive?
That's a question of American.
If we get oil in the Gulf.
But again, that's like saying I'll put money down on a baseball team to win, and then it's like, will I make money? Well, if they win, if Trump is able to, let me simplify it. First, as I've said a million times, I'd never vote for this war. I won't support this war, but I hope the United States wins in all respects to whatever the United States is doing. The simple way to explain this plan is Trump is trying to center global oil in the Gulf of America. And that's his obsession. That's why Panama, Greenland, all of these things line up. The idea is we're going to cause 70% damage to America and 80% damage to China. China gets half of its energy imports in the Strait of Hormuz.
Oh yeah, this is like some limited hangout shit, where you feed them just enough truth or enough plausible rationale, and then you hoodwink them into being like, but it's all part of Donald Trump's plan. He just can't come out and say it, but he's doing this for America. And it's like, no, he's doing this for corporations, for sure. Well, they're American corporations. Well, they're international corporations, but sure. Yeah, let's go with that.
U.S. is an oil exporter. This is Trump's plan. But you're never going to go, especially in a midterm year, and tell the American people, you want to know why you can't afford your gas right now, or why eggs cost so much money, or why the economy's in a downturn? I did that. They're going to be like, okay, I'm voting for somebody else. So he's going to come out and lie and say, they've got nuclear weapons. We have to stop them.
Yeah, I just think the American people already understand that it is Trump's fault, which is why his disapproval is so large right now.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But again, he's not going to come out and say, hey, my approval rating should go down.
Right.
He's going to lie to try and bolster this military failure.
I'm not like, I don't hate on him for lying, because sometimes you're the commander-in-chief of military. Your job is to subvert and lie to the opponents. The problem is when you start lying to the domestic population because the rest of the world's watching, so you have to. Otherwise,
or you say that Americans' financial status does not even take, like, what did he say to the press? He's like, I don't even think about Americans' financial state when I'm making these decisions. I'm the president. Everyone has to deal with it.
So here's the important understanding of why I would call this a failure. Draining the...
Why would he? Why would he when the Republican base is like the most pathetic, poor, backward ass Euro-American inbreds imaginable? Every single time they will fucking, what is it? Cut their noses to spite their faces? Every single time.
The Strategic Petroleum Reserve to try and keep gas down in the United States, that is when you are failing. We have our Strategic Petroleum Reserve is not for gas prices. It is for when we are threatened, we are at war, and we need energy to fight back. For Trump to have started this war, and again, with pressure from Israel, no doubt, to now be at a point where we have to drain something like we're going for like 40% of the SPR to the point where they're saying it's going to damage the caverns.
I'm looking for the numbers.
Biden did this. Biden drained the SPR because our oil prices were screwed up, and this is not what it is for. Trump refilled it early on, but now we're draining it again to choke out the Strait of Hormuz. If, however, Trump's gambit does work, which I'm not confident in, we will be in a down period.
Trump's gambit. Trump's gambit. I mean, astonishing, man, to even say that. To utter those words out loud. Trump's gambit. Like, if this motherfucker can think more than a step in advance.
For some time. Perhaps in 4 or 5 years, the United States will see some benefit from this. The simple way that the media likes to say it is short-term pain for long-term gain. My response is no casus belli, no war. We, the United States, do not start wars for the purpose of damaging other countries economically to improve our economic situation 5 years later. This is not what we voted for. It's not what our country should be doing to succeed. And right now, it's pissing everybody off, and it's pissing me off.
Yeah, I'm sure you're very upset. I'm sorry. Does this motherfucker expect us to believe that he thinks that America should like be the dominating force in the world by competing fairly? By engaging in gentlemen's agreements to allow the what? The free market to reign supreme? All right, man. I like this. I like this fucking fantasy world you live in.
We should be doing to succeed. And right now, it's pissing everybody off. And it's pissing me off because I can see it in the prices of everything we do.
Yeah.
And if the president's going to come out and lie about what's really going on, I think that is also a big problem. That being said, I understand governments lie and those with power take power. There is a possibility that in the end, we get substantial economic damage from this, but we destroy BRICS. And then we feel good about it 10 years later. Right now, people are suffering. The economy is bad. It is palpably bad. And I do not feel that we have there's a justifiable reason to be involved in this. There's two principal camps on the surface. Israel forced us to do it, and we had nuclear weapons. We had no choice, both of which are half-truths. You have to look at the big picture of the past 20 years with the Qatar-Turkey pipeline and all the actions in the Gulf of America, especially with Venezuela. And it's all about, again, we're going to cause pain to the Americans today in hopes that in the next 5-10 years, we're energy dominant and China's not.
Oh, man, and technology is advancing so rapidly. They'll be using non-petroleum based energy fuel sources by then. That's the crazy part.
I don't think so.
You don't think
I think that
in 5 years? In 5 years, to like essentially to at least support what, half of your economy on non-petroleum based. Sure, technology advances fast, but 5 years, to do that. That's like the in-house conspiracy theorist guy, in case no one knows who he is. Did he just say the Gulf of America? You're goddamn right, Chidimaka. You're goddamn right. And you better show some goddamn patriotism in this chat.
No, absolutely not.
Dude, the Chinese are
you are completely wrong, Ian, because what you don't understand is that petroleum is the means of controlling populations. If we allow anyone to develop fusion technology, they will get off the petrodollar. We will blow them up.
Weapons is the means to control domestic populations, not it's the fuel.
Okay, now they're going. Okay, I can't keep up with this. If somebody invents a water-based car, they'll drop a nuke on them.
Will give
no,
to forge weapons, but it's
no. Weapons are the last resort of conflict that are no guarantee.
I think it's the main thing that you use to control people.
If everybody needs gas and gas prices,
when is the tipping point when we're done using non-renewable energy sources?
I don't think at least
non-renewable.
No, the liberal makes oil. The liberal carbon constantly keeps making new oil.
And in perpetuity,
we're not going to run out.
We continue to expand.
We're not going to run out because they're also synthesizing it. The issue is the liberal economic order. The United States.
Can we just really like? Okay, so Tempo says they're going to synthesize it. Okay, what resources, what elements are going to go into creating synthetic oil that can produce, and to that extent, how much would you have to put into it to? I'm not smart enough for this, clearly. But it's my understanding that when you create something, you just can't make it appear, right? I'm sorry. Like the way that you just hand wave that off, like, oh yeah, we'll just create it. Yeah, but you kind of need to you need things to create other things. What are the building blocks for that, and how readily available are they? I don't know. Or I did like this other guy's, I always forget his name. I preferred his argument, which is was he saying that oil is like that it is a renewable energy that is not finite?
No, the liberal makes oil. The liberal carbon constantly keeps making new oil.
And in perpetuity,
we're not going to run out.
We continue to expand.
Carbon constantly keeps making new oil.
And in perpetuity,
we're not going to run out.
We continue.
The liberal
carbon constantly keeps making new oil.
Sure, but to the rate that we're fucking consuming it.
And in perpetuity,
we're not going to run out.
We continue to expand.
We're not going to run out because they're also synthesizing it. The issue is the liberal economic order. The United States hegemonic system is predicated on the petrodollar. Ain't no way Trump or the military-industrial complex gives that up.
Right, but the Chinese don't give a shit about that.
Which is why
they want the alternate.
Which is why if they get close to getting off of that, war will start.
Like if they start using
Thucydides' trap, bro.
And also, most of most of China's military machine still runs on oil. Like they do have, some electric powered drones or whatever, but all their ships and stuff, most of them are they're diesel ships still.
I think
most of their tanks and stuff like that, they're all run on some kind of petroleum product.
Oil was made once briefly in geological time, and we're using it up in a couple centuries in a very slow process. So why would you even mention that? Because I'm sorry I wasn't clear enough. I think that he truly believes that that oil is renewable energy, that it's always that the earth is always consistently creating oil, not in a slow process. No, that it's like consistently happening. Like it is in magnitudes that we can consume at a continuous rate.
Future of Warcraft, just with technological innovation, is going to be so much different. And I think even in the next 15 to 20 years.
Well, that's why
the advent of AI and just
that's why I brought up
attacks.
That's why I brought up like batteries and stuff, because drones are going to run off batteries, right? And so drones are going to be a major part of you know, the future of warfare. But still, you're talking about, like, if you're dealing with missiles, like, sure, there are solid rocket boosters and stuff, but if you're talking about anything that has an engine, it's all running off of, you know, it's all running off of diesel.
The energy output of oil is better than everything, and you're not going to get a microfusion reactor for a car.
Well, hydrogen's pretty lightweight.
But
they've tried that though; it's volatile.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, yeah, at this point, even wow, man, Mason is kind of like tapped out of the conversation because they went so far into conspiracy theory land so quick. And when it comes to Chidamaka saying, in the beginning, I was like, I can work with this. And then Rod Sterling entered the room. That's why really it's questionable whether or not to even engage with these platforms. Now, Mason is kind of like an expert at this, if anything. So I'm sure they know what they're doing. But it very much is like, we're at a point where, especially individuals and platforms like Tim Pool's, are so far out of touch with reality. And their audience is even further out, right? I think most of Temple's audience, most of BPD's audience, most of like these reactionary outlets' audience listen to them as a medium, like a centrist take almost. Like, all right, I've had enough of my favorite fucking Daily Stormer VODs or fucking recordings, podcasts, what have you. Let me go check out what a moderate like Tim Pool believes. I mean, that's how he pitches and sells himself, as a moderate. So I don't know how productive engaging with these individuals truly can even possibly be. Again, Mason, for the most part, the second half of the conversation at the release or the video has been relatively quiet because of how, like, just out of reality this conversation has gone.
And it's hard to produce and ship, and the underlying energy source for hydrogen is still oil.
Have you seen any significant infrastructure move towards hydrogen?
No, the whole industry is suppressing it.
Exactly.
Okay, but they're not going to do it.
The Chinese.
Again, where is Mason in this conversation? The camera's just panning to the three hosts.
That's why
out of this industry.
This is a component of why Trump is like, we're going to burn them to the ground. The United States, the military-industrial complex, the Western powers are not going to let BRICS run away with energy outside the petrodollar.
We're talking about the future of warfare. The German Blitzkrieg was people didn't understand that you could drive tanks through a mountain 3 days straight because that had never existed before.
The Blitz was on London, wasn't it?
It was the Blitzkrieg was through the Ardennes forest in eastern France. The Germans came with tanks and they took like amphetamines and stayed up for days and they drove these tanks which had never been seen.
They're all dudes up, coked up, and just rolling.
They conquered Paris in like 2 weeks. The Chinese could attack from straight above.
Real quick, wait. The Blitz was a bombing campaign by Nazi Germany.
And again, somehow all these reactionary fucking pseudo-intellectuals always end up talking about World War II. Have you noticed that? All of them always end up talking about World War II somehow, some way. Again, when was the last time that we heard Mason talk? And not just throw in a comment, but literally like steer the conversation in any meaningful direction or push back or question. It hasn't happened because how can you at this point? How can you at this point? Like, what do you do in this situation other than just to kind of sit back and be like, pass the fucking blunt? Like, what are we doing here? World War II is the Roman Empire? Exactly. Yes. But you know what? Get your bag, homie. Like I mentioned before, Mason's a swell guy. So credit to him for not only clowning Tim Pool on the Jubilee thing, but also pulling up to the compound. And I don't know, man. I would need alcohol. And I'm not a big drinker. But I think every hour, at least a shot or two, just to keep me like invested and to allow me to sleep at night after experiencing this. On a positive note, we did read or use this as an excuse to read Vijay Prashad's I think, amazing response to the Guardian's open sellout letter. So there we go. Exactly, yeah. All right, what are we doing next? Not that. I don't think we need to cover that. I did the. I always struggle to remember the name of these streams. I try really hard not to make it like clickbait. And the only times where it is clickbait is because we just don't get around to it. Not because I didn't plan on covering it. Hold on, I'm responding to Sudeep. Jay clipped out a lot of the segments in that essentially like roundtable that they were having for the Guardian's open letter to Iranian prisoners, and he edited out the Sudeep portion. And so I mentioned to Sudeep, hey, like I got an idea. And so Sudeep's like, for an episode, but Jay liked all our comments already. So I put, I'll just show you. Oh, come on. I don't know why I'm talking about it. I'll just show you. I put, yeah, but don't tell Jay, he gets jealous. Since he's like, you know, these already. He's like letting us know that he's reading this shit. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, this is like public, but whatever. Jay's like, now. Can't have my Browns hanging out. All right. I gotta be in the middle to make sure that no collaboration, plotting are occurring behind my back. Which, by the way, that's how he talks off stream. That like Pennsylvania accent ain't real. All right. The man is a Southerner at heart. Usually when he talks, he's like, all right, now listen, boy, I'm going to have you on the show, but you better watch your T's, cross them T's and dot them I's. I had this on the side. Yeah. All right. One day he'll slip up and you'll hear his real accent. One day. Oh, the electoralism shit that we have to cover. And then, oh, yes, the anti-Semitism piece. For sure. Let's do that. All right. Hell yeah. Because there's another piece by Lara. Is it nobody or no one? Explain, I think, or some shit like that. The Good Shepherd Collective. Man. It's hilarious how hard it is to pull up some of their articles off the internet. Of course, on purpose. All right. I'll read that, and then we got a couple bit more. All right. Yeah, I seen that when I was getting food. My what's his name? Milo Yiannopoulos or some shit like that. All right. Let's read this. Ah, I got hot again. What the fuck? Oh, it'll be fine. All right, how do I sound, y'all? 1 2 1 2 1 2. The anti-Semitism no one again off the bat. The anti-Semitism nobody wants to explain. I feel like I'm rushing it. The anti-Semitism nobody wants to explain. Palestinian hostility born of dispossession is not the hatred of burning crosses or that which built the ghettos and extermination camps, but for the Zionist movement, conflating them is the point. And this is Arwa Sheikh Ali was branded with a Star of David on his face as he was abducted by Israeli police officers from Shafat refugee camp in Jerusalem, August 2023. By M. Cohen and Lara Gilani. Every Palestinian who attempts to articulate Every Palestinian who attempts to accurately describe their experience, an experience of stolen homes, imprisoned and tortured family members, and besieged cities, is forced to make a very important decision. Do they name who did it? If Palestinians acknowledge the Jewishness of the colonial project that announces itself in its flags, its holidays, its army, and its international institutions, not simply as Jews, but as the highest form of Jewishness, or dare mention the Megan Davis spray painted onto their homes and carved into their land and skin, or mention that it was an Orthodox rabbi who called for their murders, they're inundated with Zionist accusations that they hate Jews and that they are anti-Semitic. The two made synonymous. Suddenly, the conversation shifts away from engagement with their experiences and becomes a sham trial to determine their intent, built on the philo-Semitic premise that to resent their oppressors would render them an unreliable narrator who either deserve the violence against them or, at the very least, is someone who is not worth protecting. Palestinians know they will be expected to answer for, to apologize for, millennia of anti-Jewish persecutions that they had no part in, and will be expected to disavow and condemn not just anti-Semitism, but all of Palestinian anti-colonial political history. And I think this, goes great. Same authors as the piece we read yesterday. But this part here, the Orthodox rabbis that so often get ignored or downplayed, or at least overshadowed by the Orthodox supposedly anti-Zionist communities. But again, they're not anti-Zionists. For them, it's just a matter of waiting for their so-called Messiah before they engage in the colonization of Palestine. And, whether it's Hassan Piker or the Majority Report, who have been crying about the conflation of anti-Zionism with Judaism, or I should say, with Zionism with Judaism, it's hilarious that you don't see Jews fighting against this conflation. But you see individuals that are normalizing liberal Zionism consistently put that in the forefront. Knowing this, many anti-Zionists, including Palestinians, have engaged in a form of idealistic self-censorship in which they rhetorically censor combating anti-Semitism within their anti-Zionism, tie the safety of Jews and Palestinians together, and preemptively assert that Palestinians do not hate Jews and therefore are not anti-Semitic. Meanwhile, the Jewish Zionist state bulldozes more Palestinian homes, destroys more Palestinian cities, and kills more Palestinians. Yeah, but Norman Finkelstein wants you to, transform your slogans to something that is accessible and less offensive and welcoming to Jews. This essay seeks to directly confront the reality that no one wants to engage with, one that some people either ignore or attempt to sanitize, that others trot out as if it's proof that Zionism is the answer. It is entirely reasonable that Palestinians may hold animosity towards Jews, but this is not anti-Semitism. And you can make the argument that this article itself is engaging in this, right? That by trying to address it, that you yourself are participating in censoring the cause that Palestinians are not anti-Semitic. And I would be more than happy to hear a response about that. I'm always trying to be respectful and center and prioritize Palestinian voices. But also, if I see something that kind of be like, well, don't you fall into this? If you want to call it criticism, sure. But I hope I'm communicating myself properly when I'm saying, doesn't this article fall into the same trap? Oh, you know what? I'll drop the link and I'll tell you why. I don't feel comfortable reading paid content on the stream. Like if it's behind a paywall, let's not do that until it becomes public. But we did read their piece yesterday, so again, I hope that motivates you to subscribe to the Good Shepherd Collective. The Call, this one specifically, my apologies there. The Call. Can somebody explain? I actually don't know the details between The Call and the Good Shepherd Collectives because it looks like they use the same logo, right? No, I'm not subscribed on. Oh, yeah. See. Okay, cool. I'm not subscribed to it. I don't think I'm subscribed to anything on this account. If I would have realized this, I would not have pulled it up. My bad. Let me move some things around. There we go. Fresh. Okay. All right. We'll do. Well, we did that. We teased that, I guess. And then we're going to do. Remember. Oh, you know what it was? Okay, I know what it was. I know what it was. We'll do one more reading before the FD video. I just want to see how long this piece is. It's manageable. It's manageable. Super manageable. But before we do that, we'll do this for sure. But before that, let me pull something up from Twitter that I wanted to cover. Didn't have time. Whose sums are these? Give me 1 sec, chat. Give me 1 sec. 1 sec, 1 sec. It was about indigenous ICE invading like indigenous reservations or something along those lines, and I just want to make sure that I covered it properly, or at least use that as context for this piece here. If I can find it. I should be able to find it. It was just a couple days ago. That's the only problem. I don't have great. Is it this one? No, that's this article though. So we're almost there. We're almost there. How we doing, chat? How we doing? How we doing? I think it's not this one, but it might be this. Yeah, it's this one. Okay, I found it. Sort of, kind of, maybe a little bit. But it's not the article I was looking for. Ah, man. Let me see. I think it's see if I can find it real quick. August 14th. I want to say maybe this one. Okay. So this and this right here. Breaking armed and masked agents of U.S. government have invaded a sovereign Tohono O'odham nation. Is what they say here. Armed federal agents and contractors enter Tohono O'odham nation land. This morning at 4 a.m., border wall construction and approximately 20 masked armed customs and border protection agents from the Tuscan sector entered the Tohono O'odham nation and began engaging in pre-construction activities. The contractors who are on the nation illegally were accompanied by agents as they worked on 3 separate locations near the border with drills, trucks to conduct soil sampling and other activities. This is in direct violation of the Tohono O'odham Code, Title 4, Chapter 2, Civil Trespass, Removal, and Exclusion of Non-Members. We previously warned unauthorized individuals attempting to access our land that they would be in violation of this trespassing law. Tohono O'odham Police Department TOPD officers were on the scene this morning and have been monitoring the situation. In addition to the CBP agents, multiple BIA officers and a CBP Vortex SWAT team have been deployed to the nations to protect the contractors, and a tethered balloon is being used by federal authorities for enhanced monitoring. The CBP has set up vehicle blockades to prevent the TOPD from issuing citations and removing contractors. No, but colonization here is over. It's all done. It's a wrap. It's not happening. It's just, a thing of the past. We have also learned that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security has coordinated with Mexican police to have them deploy personnel to protect the area from the southern side, while border wall contractors are doing the work. At this time, interactions between the TOPD and federal law enforcement have been peaceful and professional. We will continue to monitor the situation. We want to stress the importance of the safety and well-being of our tribal citizens. We encourage all Tohono O'odham on both sides of the border to remain vigilant and prioritize their personal safety. We support tribal members who choose to exercise their First Amendment rights of free speech and the right to peacefully protest. Nation leadership is currently consulting with our legal team to determine what can be done to de-escalate the situation, remove unauthorized individuals from our land, and move forward with appropriate legal filings. Additional updates will be shared as new information becomes available. Drone footage of Tuesday's activities is available. Let's see if we can check that out real quick. Actually, we can't because that's an image. My bad. And people are highlighting Mexico's involvement in this. Let's see here. Okay. Federal judge rejects Tohono O'odham nation's bid to halt border wall construction. This is from August 15th. A federal judge has denied the Tohono O'odham nation's request to temporarily halt construction of a border wall on its reservation, prompting nation leaders to consider their next legal option in case centered on tribal sovereignty, sacred sites, and the federal government's authority to build border infrastructure on Indian country. Tohono O'odham Nation Chairman Vilbram M. Jose said the nation strongly disagrees with the ruling and will consider all possible options moving forward. Too many critical issues were not adequately addressed, such as inevitable impacts construction will have on the nation's land and the permanent destruction of sacred sites, Jose said in a statement Friday. The nation will consider all possible options moving forward as this issue is simply too important to the O'odham. But notice when you disarm, all possible options are not all possible options. The nation filed suit in federal court in Washington, D.C., seeking a preliminary injunction to prevent the Trump administration from proceeding with construction of a border wall across the nation's reservation. The proposed project would cover approximately 62 miles along the nation's international boundary with Mexico. The Tohono O'odham Nation says the proposed border wall threatens areas of profound cultural, religious, and historical significance to the O'odham people. We have lived in these regions since time immemorial. Jose said, there is no doubt this wall will desecrate countless sacred areas, burial sites, and other important locations. The chairman cited several recent examples of damage to indigenous cultural and natural resources in the border region, including the grading of approximately 1,000-year-old Las Playas Antaglio? Antagello? I don't even know. Antaglio. I wouldn't even know how to pronounce that at all.
Intaglio.
Untaglio? Intaglio. Huh. The dynamiting of ancient burial sites and Monument Hill and continuing damage to the Quitobaquito Springs? Quitobaquito Streams? The nation maintains that the impacts of the proposed project would extend well beyond the physical footprint of the wall itself. The proposed double wall in the nation will have impacts much broader than the 60-foot limit cited in the ruling. The nation's concern reflects a broader issue facing indigenous communities along the U.S.-Mexican border. Federal border security policies can affect land and cultural resources that predate the creation of the modern international boundary by centuries. The nation says border security and sovereignty can coexist. And these compromises put you in this situation. O'odham. The Tohono O'odham Nation has emphasized that it is not opposed to border security. The nation has worked with the federal government for decades on border enforcement and has developed what it describes as a robust, multi-layered approach to securing its border. And look the good it did for you. According to the nation, that system has reduced apprehension of illegal border crossers by more than 95%. The nation argues that the existing system demonstrates that border security does not require a massive static wall through its reservation. The nation has always been committed to securing the border and the U.S. homeland and has worked with federal governments for decades on this issue. As stewards of this land, the nation has also focused on effective solutions that make sense. The nation contends that the static 30-foot wall is an outdated approach that would create substantial damage without providing a commensurate security benefit. I mean, you're trying to rationalize with these individuals that love aesthetics over solutions. And the solutions that you're claiming should be sufficient for them are what? Preventing people from fleeing their homes, fleeing for their safety? What is it? What are you essentially bragging about here? That you've been successful in preventing people from finding some sense of security and safety and a better life? A fight over tribal sovereignty. At the center of the lawsuit is a fundamental question of tribal sovereignty, whether the federal government can construct major border infrastructure across a federally recognized reservation over the objection of the tribal nation that governs the land. The Tohono O'odham Nation encompasses approximately 2.8 million acres in southern Arizona and shares roughly 62 miles of international boundary with Mexico. The international border divides the traditional homeland of the O'odham people. Families, communities, and religious traditions have existed on both sides of the border since long before the United States and Mexico established the current boundary. For the nation, the border wall disputes therefore extend beyond immigration policy or physical infrastructure. It involves the protection of ancestral land, burial grounds, sacred sites, and cultural practices that remain part of the O'odham life today. The nation will consider next steps. Friday's ruling does not end the dispute. The nation said its leaders and legal team are considering all available options to continue challenging the project. As we chart a path forward, we will continue to push for common sense border solutions that provide security without destroying our heritage, cultural sites, and natural environment. The nation has established a webpage providing additional information about the lawsuit and its history of border protection efforts. I mean, keep fucking dancing for them. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's going to bring any... Like, what are you saying? Look how good of a job we do for you? It's no different than, like, Mexico using its southern border as a bargaining chip. And then expecting, what, the U.S. to act kinder? The case is being closely watched because of its potential implication for the relationship between Federal Border Security Authority and tribal sovereignty. For the Tohono O'odham Nation, the issue is ultimately about whether protecting the U.S. border must come at the expense of protecting an indigenous nation's land and cultural heritage. We will continue to push for common sense border solutions, Jose said, that provide security without destroying our heritage, cultural sites, and natural environment. Which leads us to this piece here. What the fuck is going on, man? Who slandered you, Vic? What? How? Oh, that was too sweet. That was way too sweet. There's too much honey on that. Okay. Trump's land grab is the latest chapter of indigenous cultural genocide. Now, who is this individual here? Madeleine McKenna. Do we know this person? Madeleine? Nope. Okay. I don't know. All right, let's focus. Okay. On July 13, 2026, the Trump administration announced that it would be cutting a cumulative 2.93 million acres from Grand Staircase, Escalante, and Bears Ears National Monument, reducing the former to a mere 181,500 acres and the latter to approximately 121,000 acres, under the umbrella of common sense land use, which aims to prioritize the resources on or beneath the land over its cultural and natural significance. The White House wants to open these sacred sites to massive logging, mining, and of course, the creme de la creme of US imperialism, oil and gas leasing. They're going to use up every fucking inch of this land because they have no connection to it. They have no relationship with it other than its exploitation and overconsumption to the point of self-destruction. In his frankly, cartoonishly evil announcement, Trump mocks the Biden administration's 2021 description of these ancestral homelands, calling the region generic and not worthy of protection. Proclamation 10285 protects various generic features and landscapes found within the Bears Ears region, such as the deep sandstone canyons, broad desert mesas, towering monoliths, forested mountaintops dotted with lush meadow, and low bluffs and high mesas. While scenic, these generic features are not landmarks, structures, or objects of historical or scientific interest worthy of protection under the Antiquities Act. But nothing ever will be. Not over making a quick buck. A day later, the administration announced plans to slash protection for an important buffer zone surrounding the Chaco Canyon in New Mexico, opening the land to, you guessed it, even more oil and gas leasing. If approved, the still protected area of Chaco Canyon, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a sacred ceremonial site for the Pueblo people for over 2,000 years, and which contains evidence of human occupation dating back to 900 BCE, will sit directly next to these new extraction sites, causing irreversible damage. The administration's connection to the Chaco Canyon, Bears Ears, Grand Staircase, Escalante, and the surely future sites on the executioner's block have no historical significance is false. They're important not only to our American history, of course, bragging rights and all, but humanities. To add insult to stupidity, the administration then limited the public commenting period on their decision to 14 days. To put this into perspective, the average commenting period is between 60 and 75 days. Boy, oh boy, do they want to lease that land. And boy, oh boy, did they anticipate that people would have something to say about it. I don't know, I guess this is like an op-ed or whatever, but I hate shit like this. And I hate the fact that they made me read it out loud. UNESCO? UNESCO. There you go. UNESCO. Thank you. Oh, the Shadow Wolves native unit of DHS operates in the Tohono O'odham Nation. The tribal government is just concerned about the physical wall and not the imposed border. Yeah, those fools are fucking terrifying, man. They really play it up. They were right. Before the ridiculous short comment period ended, over 100,000 comments were left by people expressing their horror at the decision, and for good reason. As mentioned, Chaco Canyon is a remarkable space, and its significance extends not only historically, but also culturally. The scenic vistas, described by the Trump administration as generic, are, according to the National Park Service, currently culturally associated with 26 distinct indigenous groups: Modern Pueblo and Hopi people, members of the Navajo Nation, and countless more still actively use the site for private ceremonial rites. It's not only a national monument to their history or a statue, it is a living, breathing space where modern indigenous people practice their religion. Pillaging it for oil and gas is tantamount to putting a pipeline through the middle of the Vatican. Which they would. They absolutely would do that. Why would that be off limits? The outcry from indigenous representatives and groups has been loud and swift and reflects the continuing importance of these sites. Rep. Derek J. Lente, Democrat from Sandia Pueblo, said in a statement decrying this decision, "Chaco is not an ordinary parcel of land. It is the ancestral home of our people and a place containing ceremonies and prayers." Davina Smith Edhesa, member of the Navajo Nation, the co-chair of the Bears Ears Intertribal Commission, which has been effectively disbanded by Trump's decision, said, "When I walk about Bear Ears, I'm not talking about a place I occasionally visit. I'm talking about home, a landscape that continues to care for our people." Unsurprisingly, the federal government also did not consult with any of the tribes or representatives associated with these sites before deciding to gut them, even though they are required to obtain input. Input. It's so fucking performative. Emerson Hackford, a Bears Ears Intertribal Coalition Youth Council representative, stated, "One of my biggest concerns is the fact that zero tribal consultation was used during this decision. In these actions, there were no tribal representatives that were contacted, and the government is supposed to have an obligation to listen to us." We can add the gutting of these sites to the long list of times the United States has violated land treaties with indigenous people in the name of progress, or more accurately, resource grabbing, with zero regard for the consequences to A, the land itself, and B, the people connected to it. Trump's use of common sense law and its application to Chaco Canyon and millions of other public and sacred acres a month ago, today, and likely tomorrow, just recapitulates this shameful pattern. There has been some excellent journalism regarding the disastrous environment impact of gutting these spaces and millions more acres already sacrificed for resource extraction. The leasing of these lands will not only poison these sacred sites, but also the indigenous people who live around them. And Denny community members have rightly raised concerns about this. The pollution does not recognize boundaries. It moves through the air we breathe and water we depend on, placing the greatest burden on our elders' children, said Wendy Axidi, a member of the Eastern Navajo Profano community, in a separate release shared following the press conference. The damage to the environment and the people living in the area cannot be understated. However, if we focus all our rage on the environmental issues, we risk highlighting another vital piece of this American tragedy. American tragedy. What the fuck are we doing here, bro? You're writing this shit, you're studying this, you're seeing how it's affecting indigenous people, and you're still on with this bullshit fucking patriotism about America? I mean, if this doesn't make you just fucking denounce the settler colonial fucking project, I don't know what will. One that is perhaps harder to grapple with because it involves using a very contentious word that starts with a G. Okay, fucking AOC. The G word. These aren't just attacks on public lands or the natural world. They're a continuation of the centuries-long American genocidal project against the indigenous people of Turtle Island that began the moment European boots crossed the gangplank of whatever boat brought them here. This is the legacy that millions of America, Jesus Christ. This is the legacy of millions. This is the legacy that millions of American citizens who are descended from white settlers, me included, shock, must contend with in order to discontinue the work our ancestors started 400 years ago. We must reckon with the idea of cultural genocide. The dissertation of these sites should be framed in this way. Genocide is at its core an attempt at the complete and total erasure of a targeted group. It relies not only on the type of physical violence listed above, but also on what Raphael Lemkin, who coined the term genocide, referred to as cultural genocide. Cultural genocide includes the systematic destruction of languages, institutions, and heritage, including cultural sites, and, importantly, to the case of Chaco and other sacred places, places of worship. As one of the many heads of the genocidal hydra, cultural genocide gets far less attention and was left out of the UN Genocide Convention in 1948, maybe because it doesn't fulfill our obsession with gross, voyeuristic physical violence. Maybe because, if indeed, we'd have to admit that some genocide never ended. Violence can take many forms. There is no doubt in my mind that the Trump administration's endangering of Chaco Canyon and other sacred spaces is an act of violence and falls under the umbrella of cultural genocide. Yeah, or just, I think we're going to leave it there. I'll leave it there. I don't know if I want to, I'm not impressed with what I've read so far, to be honest. I'm not impressed with her writing or her insight. But that's just me. Speaking towards patriotism to keep the libs roped in. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We have to be a better America. We have to treat these savages a little better. We got to be better than our ancestors. Or whatever the fuck Emma Vigeland said. All right, all right. All right, all right. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right, all right. Y'all ready? I thought there was a longer clip of this. Do me a favor, y'all. Let me know if there's a longer version of this.
Let's talk about.
Yeah, no, I wasn't happy with what I was reading. I don't want to waste y'all's time with that nonsense. I gave it a shot. Current affairs. I should have known better. But that's why I also made the effort to connect it to the statement that the indigenous nation had released and the ongoing court case in that. All right, let's get started. Is there a longer version? I remember seeing something longer than like 10 minutes. Y'all are obsessed with this man, bro. I don't fucking get it. I don't understand it. Maybe it's just, it's not, it's out of my lane to recognize, I guess. Maybe I'm just not gonna get it.
Any other black folk want to engage in radical activist language in this fucking chat?
There we go. I'm with BT. You guys sure get excited for him to pull up. I just don't understand. I don't know, like the need to argue with a lib. All right, let's get this started over here. Do me a favor, y'all. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, hit the notification bell if you want to know when I go live. Consider supporting the channel. Consider supporting the channel through super chat, super stickers, and memberships. Check out the Patreon. $2 gets you access to the Discord, where we have the unofficial book club on Saturdays. They're currently on Meditations on Finance Record of the Earth. as well as the Sunday article readings and the occasional watch parties. Go ahead and check that out. And if you want to help support without anyone skimming off the top, hit up the Cash App, deculturation on everything. Everything's in the description below. Thank you so much.
About DSA, then we're gonna play a little Tekken. I want to talk about DSA. Wait, Roland Martin over here. Do I even want to do this to myself?
Side note, has FD done anything with Endless Cemetery? Because Endless is always playing Tekken. Or else I'm gonna put it out there into the world that he's dodging that fade.
How we doing today, Uncle Roland? How we doing today? Let's see what Roland Martin talk about. Let's start here.
Shockwaves are going to be sent. This is right now. This is the New York Times with 83% of the vote in. Angie Nixon is up 55 to 44 against Alex Vindman. He had endorsements. He had millions of dollars. Everybody, she did not raise lots of money. It was Angie Nixon, of course, who was battling, fighting voter suppression, fighting Ron DeSantis. Angie Nixon has won the Democratic primary in the state of Florida. The race has been called by the Associated Press. Yo, that is a huge upset in Florida, Mustafa. He had the endorsements, Democratic establishment.
Oh, whoa, what's going on, bro? I don't know if my roast gene. I got to deactivate my roast gene. Because what is my man doing here with the red tie and the Kangol and the Beijing beard?
I told y'all, I kept telling people, folks are saying in Florida, we want a fighter representing.
I don't know if I like that. I think it looks great. You know, I think he's holding it down. I think he's doing his thing. But okay. All right. We're being petty. I'm with that.
Us, this is huge.
Is Roland really saying that? I ain't been paying attention to Roland because, like, I don't have like strong beef with Roland Martin. Like, Roland Martin's not on any list, but I also know Roland Martin's in me wouldn't be. It'd be cool, it'd be chill, but like, you know, Roland's very much an establishment black liberal.
I don't know, bro. I'm cool with Dr. Ball. So when Dr. Ball says fucking we got an issue with Roland, we all got an issue now. Whatever's happening in the fucking senior center stays at the senior center. All right. I let Geechee worry about that nonsense. All right. Making sure that no dentures get lost, making sure that people go home with the right canes and all that. You know what I mean? That no trading of prescriptions is occurring during fucking I don't know what they do, the talent show section.
I don't think he's an APAC type of dude, but he's very much an establishment politics black liberal. So like, has Roland had any commentary? Has he taken a stance on DSA shit? He said he's a secret member of the Marxist Unity Group. I doubt it, but I hope. You know what? Sure. But I think it's really interesting.
Maybe I don't know that inside joke or whatnot. But I mean, I don't want to get involved in this. But I mean, come on. He's a full-on capitalist, pushing capitalism. He's hustling here. He's making a buck. Why are we pretending that it's anything other than that?
So like there's all this conversation about the white left, the DSA. Like if you go on Threads and you're me, you're gonna get a whole lot of black liberals trying to convince you that the DSA is secretly racist and that no black people are involved in leftist anything. And it's just some white people shit, right? Meanwhile,
they're not wrong about the fucking DSA, again, depending where you're at. But they're not wrong necessarily.
All the best things that we've gotten out of the DSA have come from black candidates, right? Oni in the chat, shout out to Oni, you know what I'm saying? Now, I am fence sitting on the DSA. If you saw me with Brianna Joy Gray last week, we were basically talking about the
I'm sorry, Marxist Unity Group is one of the left wings in DSA caucuses. Bro, if I thought that the DSA were fucking cucks to the Democratic Party, what the fuck is a Marxist Unity Group? Do they like fucking hold hands and swing and be like, We will not be silenced. We will not be silenced at the DSA fucking caucus. What the fuck are you gonna do? You're a Marxist unity group within a democratic socialist organization within a genocidal democratic party. Homies, I hope you get a fucking wedgie every day of your life. I hope that you get punked, bullied, mocked, pointed, and laughed at every fucking DSA meeting. Oh shit, that's right. Fuck. God damn, that's right. He just said that. Yes, I just saw that. God damn it. Already burning bridges. Oh, yeah. Eero says Deep runs a Marxist Unity group. He talked about it with Dr. Ball today. I did not see that, but he did mention some shit like that on that clip. All right, look. That's not even what I was planning to talk about with him. But fuck it. Let's square up and talk about that shit too. Which, by the way, he is like just magnitudes more intelligent than I am, right? That's solely genetic. Now, that's solely because of our genetics, right? That's not anything. All right, it's not my fault. My ancestors were barbarians sacrificing people to the sun. All right. You know, his people got colonized by the intelligent British. Mine got colonized by the backward fucking Protestant fundamentalists. Oh no, Spaniards, I guess, right? Yikes. All right. Not beating the allegations? Fuck the allegations. No. In all seriousness, I think that'd be a cool conversation to have. I totally forgot about that aspect of it. The thing is, everyone's far too kind, everyone's far too generous, everyone's far too polite, and I do not know why they deal with me. But I appreciate it sincerely. I'm not gonna change. I'm not gonna change.
Fit sitting on the DSA. If you saw me with Brianna Joy Gray last week, we were basically talking about.
Hold on, FD fence sitting? Hold on. FD Signifier fence sitting? Say it ain't so. Since when? This is a first. Somebody jot this down on a calendar. There's a historic day, unprecedented, never before documented, FD Signifier fence sitting.
Candidates, right? Oni in the chat. Shout out to Oni. You know what I'm saying? Now, I am fit sitting on the DSA. If you saw me with Brianna Joy Gray last week, we were basically talking about the DSA, and Brianna has a lot of critiques. Brianna's position is way more invested and passionate than me. I am very cynical about electoralism. I could never care as much about electoral politics as a lot of folks do. I am very cynical. I vote with my head and not.
Okay, hold on. I don't know words so well. I'm not one of these highly educated individuals. So let's look this up, because I don't know words. English is technically my second language. Cynical. Having or showing the attitude of temper of cynics, such as, see, I don't know this one too, contemptuously distrustful of human nature and motives, based on or reflecting a belief that human conduct is motivated primarily by self-interest. A fault-finding captious critic, especially one who believes that human conduct is motivated wholly by self-interest. Cynic, an adherent of an ancient Greek school of philosophers who held the view that virtue is the only good, and that its essence lies in self-control and independence. All right, whatever. Okay.
Not my heart, which is why I get in trouble. Some people feel like I'm not radical or left enough. I get a lot of rad lib accusations because of that.
Silence, not just silence, rad lib. You do not get accusations. You are what you are. All right, let's stop this. It's so frustrating. It's really annoying to be like, I'm gonna go vote for this, genocidal party, but it's not gonna have any reflection on me and my beliefs. My vote has nothing to do with me or who I am. It's not. It's just all cynical. It's just practical. I'm just pulling the fucking lever. Yeah, take that shit to Chomsky. I don't give a fuck. All right. It's an action that you're choosing to take. Of course, it's a fucking reflection of you. Of course, it says something about your politics. All right. I don't like this whole fucking people are accusing me of being a rad lib. If you vote like a rad lib, if you normalize the genocidal Democratic Party like a rad lib, if you excuse voting for a just you're a fucking rad lib. I don't know what to tell you. You gotta fight Diallo now. It's not a fucking fight. All I ask for is fucking honesty. All I ask for is honesty. All right? You're a Democrat. Congratulations. You're a Democrat. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. I didn't tell you to vote for them. I didn't tell you to fucking vote for them. All right? Ain't nothing wrong with being a Democrat. There's a whole lot wrong with being a Democrat. A whole lot wrong. But just own it. Own being a fucking Democrat. Cool. I mean, I don't know, at least the DSA is saying they're trying to reform the Democratic Party from within. Yeah, and the fucking flood of blood that you're fucking swimming through. Go ahead. Do your thing. I don't know if I'll ever be invited to EYL now. I don't know now. Let me make a call to Tin Media and be like, hey, Ay. I don't know, man. Just own that shit. Be proud of your political project. Quote radicals, vote liberal. Radlib. I'm gonna steal that shit, bro. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. All this rhetoric is straight from Hassan's mouth, like getting mad at Radlibs. Please, form an original thought, homie. Confused here. All this rhetoric is straight from Hassan's mouth, like getting mad at Radlib. Please form an original thought, homie. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Hassan gets all butthurt when you call him a Radlib, right? That's right.
But I really don't have the energy to fight about the electoral process with the full understanding that this is not the solution to the world I'm trying to help contribute to. So I find it frustrating when I end up in those debates because it's like, why are we debating this shit? When we both know this is a means to an end. So with that in mind, when I see the DSA do good things, I'm like, oh. And when I see the DSA do fuckery, I'm like, oh. And like, I don't understand why we can't all do that shit.
A lot of us cannot be comfortable sitting on a fence. For some of us, we haven't gone numb to the sensation, to the discomfort of riding a fence. So it's very difficult for us to be able to say, haha, good job, fuckery on the other end, while being impaled by the fence that you're fucking riding, all right? Some of us are like, get me the fuck off this fence, and let me take a stand, let me take a position, let me have some principles, let me be consistent. Some of us have not mastered the art of relying on a fence to be our fucking spine. And so that's why we can't do the haha, no, haha, yeah. It's not possible. All right? Maybe one day we'll get to that level. But for the time being, no se puede. No se puede. Yeah. No se puede. All right? I'm not one of these si se puedes Mexicans. I'm a no se puede Mexican. We're just Mexicans over here.
Shit. I really don't. That's the team sports of it all. That's the kayfabe of it all. Niggas want heels and faces.
Beaners want them too, but here's the thing. That works when you're talking about fucking the wrestlers, the characters, right? The politicians. What we're talking about are actual political parties and political organizations trying to lead people, sheepdog them into the political parties that we should have abandoned years ago, at the very least, after they conducted, carried out, and protected and armed a genocide. At the very least. Look, I like this kayfabe shit too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a giant wrestling fan the way that FD or Little Bill are. And I think they take that shit overboard and it kind of gets exhausting. It reminds me of that chapter in Empire of Illusion by Chris Hedges, where I'm like, all right, I get it. You've fucking already said this 10, 20 times. Let's move on. Americans like a fucking show. We're being fucking bamboozled. We like to have a character, storyline, and plot lines that we can fucking follow to make shit digestible and comforting. But we're not talking about... Hold on.
All due respect. No disrespect to my Palestinian brothers and sisters. But we're not talking about Palestinians.
We're not talking about the kayfabe shit. We're talking about actual political parties and their political organizations that they're using to bring back voters for the next genocide to occur. For the next genocide to be excused. That's what's going on here. But go ahead, downplay this shit like it's just Vince McMahon in the background pulling the string.
When I made that Mamdani video is some of my best work from this time, from last year.
I don't even know it's the one I was in, but I was going to say because I was in it, dog. I was way too nice. Because I wasn't trying to be like super fucking bombastic. I was like, I'm not going to play a fucking character. I'm just going to tell you what I think.
That Mamdani video I did this joint right here. Because every time Mamdani does something, I'm right. Where is it at? Where the fucking video at? There it is. Listen to what I say here. This is a high...
Look at the fence writing. Why you can not trust Zoran Mamdani. Is this the one I was talking about? I don't even know if I got included in this or not. What I should have done is email the FD and give him a whole lot of praise like Georgie did. But when you're actually a fucking man and not a kiss-ass opportunist, you don't have to email people. Damn, man. Damn, what the fuck? Oh, it is.
Period of time, like for months, everyone was canvassing, everyone was doing this. Like you can do that, not just about like a guy. Like do this about the things you want to happen.
And it's because of that Black Studies degree. I just feel like you can't
get
that degree.
Stop.
Damn, no, I'm full of shit right now,
He's pulling your heartstrings already. Stop. Look, you're saying, oh, at least Obama waited till he, won. Zoran was doing it before he won. The difficult part of winning, the primary. I felt like that was a difficult part. That's the one where
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem? I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem?
He does like the reverse Graham Plattner. He starts apologizing for like actually being a leftist at some point, right? He goes on Fox News and starts groveling to like the NYPD. And he says, "Oh no, I've privately, kissed their boots, but now I'm here to do it publicly." And to that level, I'm like, bro, like you're acting like if you haven't won the primary yet. Like, stop. Who are you catering to? What are you doing here? It's not for votes. So who is it for? And I do think that it's for, the establishment. I do think it's to let people know, to signal to them, hey,
I'm here.
It's all for show. I'm here for you.
Zoran Mamdani is the current mayor elect.
I mean, did I lie? I think that's it, right? I think that's all he uses. Maybe a little bit more here. And the check hasn't cleared yet, by the way.
That's all it is. It's just a branding exercise. Like it's all rebranding. That's all it is. It's just a branding exercise. I mean, the joke of having all these options, right? The luxury of the United States, they have 2 capitalist parties, right? All that stuff is very true. It's all about branding. I mean, Glenn Ford talked about this, the great late Glenn Ford, Black Agenda Report, where they're able to be the more efficient evil because we do give them grace, right? Because they're not abhorrent monsters that we have to turn away from or immediately recognize as white supremacists, but they uphold white supremacy. They uphold the status quo. Kwame Ture told us about, the pitfalls of liberalism, and these are the people that we have to recognize are our enemies, and they already chose a side. Why are we pretending otherwise, right? But again, it's all marketing. It's all to make us more comfortable and think that we're progressing somewhere, that we're moving forward, right? That we're somehow, we haven't claimed victory, but we're winning breadcrumbs. But where are those breadcrumbs leading us to?
Americans have gotten so used.
Look, I say the same shit everywhere. I am me everywhere. So that I'm not fucking speaking out of both sides of my mouth. I say this shit on the stream. I said it to him. That's what I believe. That's what I think is occurring. That's what I think is happening. That's what I'm going to say. So at the very least, if you interact with me, privately, publicly, it'll be consistent. I don't need to bullshit. I don't need to pretend to be somebody else. I don't have the fucking patience for that. I don't care enough for that. I need to be true to myself and what I'm all about. Which ain't much. It ain't much. But it makes it easier. It makes it easier. But this right here is just so frustrating because it's like, I don't know how long you can continue pretending that this is for the greater good. How many genocides before you tap out?
To Donald Trump.
There. And it's like,
we're looking at a Democratic Party who just capitulated to Donald Trump and his shutdown. And I grew up on welfare. I grew up on WIC and all these things. Like, that was my childhood. That's what we needed to live. This isn't something that I read in a book. This isn't something that I hear secondhand. This was my childhood. I don't really talk about my life like that because while I know that a lot of people hearing of it would either relate to it or won't be able to relate to it, I still think that I was beyond privilege. And yet I'm still working class. I'm still crazy in debt, student loans, all these things. Right? Living paycheck to paycheck, like literally living paycheck to paycheck. And because of that, not in spite of it, but because of that, I know that we need to do more than what the Democratic Party is providing and what DSA is attempting to sell us. Because yes, you're right. I want Mamdani's platform, his agenda to be completed to the fullest. It's not. We all know this. It's not. Let's stop lying to ourselves. But even though crumbs will benefit people, in situations that I grew up in, situations that I'm still sort of in, to be honest with you, as uncomfortable as it makes me to this day, the issue is that this is a snake oil salesman. The problem isn't what he's, pitching, it's him, right? And what he represents. And the allure of saying, hey, we got the crumbs. Crumbs, most often than not, crumbs that radicals, communists, socialists, anarchists died for.
Everyone I talk to recognize.
I will say I shouldn't have said that. I don't know if I misspoke or just should have elaborated a little bit further. The problem is what he's selling, of course. The problem is his platform, because it's a National Socialist platform. It's a National Socialist platform. But I mean, the question was about Zoran Mamdani, so I did want to focus on him. But the issue is the National Socialism. I should have focused a little bit more on that. But that's, obviously my appearance is the reason why it's his, best work of last year, I think he said, or of the year. That's what he meant.
High-stake 7D chess game of political.
Hold on. Am I living Georgie's dream of being featured in an FD Signifier video?
No emailing needed. No ass kissing behind the scenes, Georgie. Your papa should have shown you how to be a real fucking man, dog, instead of sexually harassing women online.
Intrigue right now, and there's too much going on to feel too comfortable in an overtly simplistic understanding of Mamdani, his political wave, and whatever might happen next. So with that in mind, I went and found some folks that I felt had varying perspectives on Zohran Mamdani, folks that are his detractors, folks that are his supporters, and those with stakes in the game. In doing so, I hope that this video helps everyone develop as room temperature and balance a take on Mamdani as possible.
I think I failed by not calling FD a cool black man. A cool black American.
Well, not because he's so good and that there's nothing to worry about, not because he's so bad and we should all revolt, but because our job in the equation is to resist stan culture and anti-fan culture and teach and learn how to grow for the moment, plan what people should be focused on next, and further our political goals. It really should be that simple. As soon as any of these DSA people, including this sister that, you know, shout out to her in Florida, do something good.
Hey, thank you for doing that for the people.
Every time I see a Mamdani fix the pothole thing.
Yo, Mamdani, bro, we need your help, gang. Why is there a whole hole in the road, gang? Hey, I see how the world works. Look what happened after I come back from work. What, nigga? That shit gone already. Nah, we love you, Mamdani. What the fuck?
Or
we love you, Mamdani. Homie, I hope you got paid. I hope you got paid for that shit, dog. I hope you at least, I don't know, blue check mark, some shit, verified. God damn. Groveling over a fucking pothole. I tell you what, though, out here in LA, we do that shit fucking better. Hold on. Hold on, Pedro. Let me show you. Let me show you how fucking LA operates. Let's see. Karen Bass. Well, I almost caused an injury. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? Oh man, this is so good, but I need the video. I need the video. Come on, Karen. Karen! You think I need to come home to this, Karen? I'm out there. Worried about wise guys getting whacked. You think I need this? Is it this one? No. How am I getting videos unrelated to fucking LA, unrelated to Karen Bass, unrelated to potholes? How? Why am I getting these videos? God damn it, bro. What is it? Film? Yeah, Film the Police has it. The only problem is that if you search for Karen Bass on Film the Police Twitter account, you're gonna get like 100 fucking 100 things. Hold on. The homie does not let up, which I appreciate. So just put pothole. Come on. I don't have much time here. Am I really not gonna find it? I think it was like an IG post where Karen Bass is like, oh. Let's see. Oh, is this it? Here we go. Found it. Sorry for the wait.
Hey, Mayor Bass. I found this pothole here on Melrose and Gardner Street. Hoping you could just send some folks down here to just remedy that for us.
Hi, Simone. I saw your post, so I want you to know that city crews were out here today at noon. But unfortunately, there was a car that was here, so we couldn't repair the pothole. So you know what we did? We put up these no parking signs so that hopefully there won't be anybody.
Hopefully, bro, that's what we need in LA. More fucking parking signs. More restrictions on parking. That's exactly what we need.
Parked here tomorrow morning, and the city crews will be back. In the future, if you have any problems like this, you can call 311. If it's graffiti, if it's a pothole.
Tow that fucking car and get the pothole fixed if you're going to post a video about it. All right? Now, I don't want anybody's car getting towed. I don't want anything to happen. But I mean, if you're going to post a fucking video, get that shit done. Is there satire? There is There's not a writer in the world that is this funny.
Or if it's just random trash. So thank you, Simone. Thank you for being a great LA citizen. We're going to get this done.
Where am I?
Get this done.
This isn't home. Mitch McConnell, is that you?
Hey, Mayor.
Or, you know, kids getting free healthcare, socialized grocery stores. Shout out to all that shit. As soon as some of that pro-police, IDF police chief shit pop up, hey, stay on his head about that shit. But
I'm sorry, what do you mean as soon as? I told you he capitulated to the NYPD. He kept Tish on as a NYPD commissioner before he took fucking office. Before he took office, I told you this. We all knew this. What do you mean, oh, if and when?
I don't know if I agree. This is something that Brianna alluded to and we didn't get into it. Brianna has the critique that we are compromising principles for electoralism. And I think that's completely accurate. My position is, like, so many of these people were not there with us like that to begin with. Does that make sense? With Brianna, we talked about woke one a lot. I'll let the
bro. And again, if Brianna Joy Gray's to your fucking left, if Brianna Joy Gray quote, what was it that she said? I've protected the whites. I use my body to protect the whites. She didn't say that. She said some shit though. I mean, close enough. Let's see here.
To describe it as woke one is to concede the terrain. That's the first thing.
I'm the person that's been running race cover for the left all of these years.
It's a goddamn shame. I'm the person that's been running race cover for all these whites to just be class reductionists and push us to the side. Race cover, man. That'd be a funny drop, you know? Ay. I guess, again, the first step is admitting it. But if this is your person to your left, if this is the person to your left, which, mind you, FD has provided race cover for Hassan Piker and for countless of little fucking white men. If we're being honest,
clip show D chess that they're playing that's gonna get us free. They're gonna all
I'm so tired of that. I'm so tired.
Are you still a member of Democratic Socialists of America?
Of the New York City chapter. That face is appropriate.
This is my position on electoralism and whether or not you're gonna see me get up in arms about a good person who wins or a bad person who wins or a good person who loses or a bad person who loses. Shout out to this sister in Florida who didn't get a whole bunch of DSA anything. And
Nixon, who says she's not for defunding anything. Nixon, who says she's a capitalist. Nixon, who said she's not a socialist and that everyone should know that. All right, cool. Oh, why? Oh, the lesser of two evils, that's why.
And still won by a landslide against an establishment candidate. Shout out to insert whomever else. Especially all the black folks that's like making moves at the DSA, shout out to them. Shout out to the critics to my left who are like, the DSA is a psyop that's seeking to recuperate power back into the Democratic Party.
Say my name. Oh, Cavernacle gets a shout out. Cavernacle gets an apology. The little old brown Mexican historian, Afro Latino historian that is. Nada. Can't get no respect.
Is a psyop that's seeking to recuperate power back into the Democratic Party. Because that's also true. That's also true at the end of the day. We're still in a duopoly. Because that's also true. That's also true.
What is this? This is a weird font too, colors. I don't know about this color choice. I would say it's only true if your sole interest and assumption is you can capture and wield power within the current political structure and the current mode of commodity production, any comrade worth their salt knows that the current mode of production must be eliminated, and that all the rest of this is advertising for radical new ideas. But I admit I have a dog in this race. Did I miss something? Okay, did I miss something? Like, do you add this? Is this your editor? Is this you? I don't know. It's his editor? Oh, okay. That's weird. Have we reached a point where the editor has their own streaming channel? I like when that happens. I like when you get the behind the scenes person.
Recuperate power back into the Democratic Party, because that's also true. That's also true. At the end of the day, we're still in a duopoly. The DSA is not a third party. It is a party within a party. I still think support for that party is useful and tangible and meaningful for for oppressed people in this country right now.
Okay, right now, in the immediate, maybe sure you can make that argument. But if you're admitting that I'm right, which it's not about me being right, just observing fucking reality. If you're admitting that it is correct, let me put my ego aside, that the DSA as an organization is meant to sheepdog people back into the Democratic Party, to add a new veneer to the Democratic Party, a new paint job, to normalize genocide, to say, hey, we could redeem a genocidal party, all this stuff. You admit that's correct. Well, you're acknowledging and saying that it's still beneficial for, first you say black, and then you say oppressed, for oppressed people to buy into that shit, to buy into it. So in other words, you're cool with them getting tricked by the DSA's rebranding of the Democratic Party. You're aware of the trick that is being played, which is normalizing a genocidal party. So you're cool with this National Socialist advertisement of getting crumbs now in order to excuse the next genocide. Right? Is that where we're at? Again, all I ask is for honesty. All I ask is for you to be direct. You're cool with these crumbs, like I mentioned directly to you, things that were already fought for and taken away, pulled back. In other words, it's going to happen again. They're going to get taken away and pulled back in a couple fucking years if they ever get fucking accomplished. You're cool with receiving that at the cost of normalizing the next genocide. And if you say yes to that, which it seems like you are, then you're cool with that happening every so fucking often. Rinse and repeat.
We are not in a position, in my opinion, from the way I see it, to be so righteous minded as to say, hey, this free childcare thing, nope, revolution only. So like all you motherfuckers, all these niggas in the SWATs in Atlanta, all these niggas in Clayco, like you all don't get nothing. Nope.
I literally say that word for word. I want you to know that I say that exact thing word for word. None of that, only revolution. Why build this fucking straw man? Why build this? Why fight this straw man? I mean, this is the fucking Hassan vibe shit, right? This is when you're just regurgitating what fucking Hassan Piker says. And it's so frustrating because it's like, all we're asking is to stop normalizing, stop investing in a genocidal party when they're giving you fucking crumbs. All right? That's all we're saying. But if you choose to do that, just be fucking honest about it, that a genocide of Palestinians is not sufficient enough for you to say, fuck that, we're not normalizing your shit anymore. Just all I ask is for honesty. I don't think that's very difficult. I don't think that's a fucking high bar. But go ahead, yes, we want revolution tomorrow. Let there be a million Luigi Mandiglionis. Yeah.
Nobody vote for Keisha Lance Bottoms in Georgia. I'm abstaining from voting for the black Democrat female government candidate.
Solely based on those things. Solely based on that. Solely based on the fact that it's a female. Solely based on the fact that she's black. That's the sole reason I will refuse to. Come on now. What are we doing, bro? What are we doing? Yeah.
So, like, you all don't get nothing. Nobody vote for Keisha Lance Bottoms in Georgia. I'm abstaining from voting for the black Democrat female government candidate, even though the other candidate is literally Donald Trump on steroids, and they kept a black woman alive for 3 months on an incubator so they can pull a fetus out of her.
And who didn't say that it was a priority to codify Roe versus Wade? Chad, can you remind me who refused to codify Roe versus Wade? Who said it wasn't a priority to them? Come on, chat. Who said that? Not the highest legislative priority. Who said that, chat? Routers. Here we go. This is a good one. Obama says abortion right law not a top priority. What? What? A Democrat? A black Democrat from Chicago? What? I joke around and fuck around a lot, but goddamn though, don't fucking pull this shit. We have to be at least above that nonsense, bro. I believe that women should have the right to choose. Obama told a news conference marking his first 100 days in office, but I think, but hold on, ladies. But I think that the most important thing we can do to tamp down some of the anger surrounding this issue is to focus on those areas that we can agree on. Unity. I would like to reduce the number of unwanted pregnancies that result in women feeling compelled to get an abortion or at least considering getting an abortion, particularly if we can reduce the numbers of teen pregnancies. Oh, wow. Why has nobody ever thought of that before? Asked about the Freedom of Choice Act at Wednesday's news conference, Obama said it's not the highest legislative priority. My view on abortion, I think, has been very consistent, Obama said. I think abortion is a moral issue and an ethical issue. There are some who suggest that this is simply an issue about women's freedom and that there's no other considerations. I think, look, this is an issue. This is an issue that people have to wrestle with, and families and individual women have to wrestle with. Wrestle the fucking fetus out of them, bro. That's all I'm saying. If you're gonna pull that fucking card, see the other side of it.
We want abortion laws here supported, but no, I'm not voting for Keisha Lance Bottoms though. That type of absolute stance doesn't make any sense. There are too many people suffering for you to just not click a button. You ain't gotta donate, you ain't gotta campaign, you ain't gotta make videos about it, you ain't gotta do none of that shit. Just click the fucking button so some niggas can eat. Like,
again, assuming that the Democratic Party is gonna feed them. Assuming that the Democratic Party is gonna fulfill their role, their obligation, their responsibility. Yeah, maybe next election. Maybe the election after that. And maybe just one more button pushing. Maybe it's just a Noam Chomsky fucking Epstein talking point, man.
What the fuck? Click the button and don't say shit. Click the button and say you didn't. You know, but that's me.
Click the button and say you didn't. And all I ask is for honesty. All I'm asking for is honesty while you're advocating and promoting just fucking lying. Own that fucking shit. Own it. There's a reason why the main drop is Hassan Piker owning the fact that he normalizes genocide and voted for Kamala Harris in fucking California of all places while having the Palestinian flag wrapped around his neck. So just lie about who you vote for. Just lie about your politics. Just lie about the work you do.
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem?
Just fucking lie. Nobody has to know your real political positions. Just lie. Tell them what you got to say. Just fucking lie. I bet FD loves JB Pritzker. LOL. Who fucking knows? Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's lying. Maybe he isn't. Who fucking knows? Now we just don't know.
That's how I feel. On the flip side,
how long is this fucking fence? And do you hold the Guinness World Record for writing that shit?
The absence of a radical critique of these systems is going to kill us all eventually. The absence of people's ability to critically engage with these systems and develop divestment plans from these systems is going to kill us all. But
hold on. The critiques don't mean fucking shit if we don't stop supporting them. And while I will always say, hey, we need a vanguard party, and until then, all this shit is mute.
I voted for Kamala Harris.
The reality is that the minimum is not supporting them. The minimum is not engaging with their fucking normalization of genocide. The minimum is saying, no, this party should have fucking died.
But I find myself in the middle. People think I'm cynical, and it's not cynicism. I'm just dispassionate. I'm dispassionate because of this line right here.
Your dispassion, so your lack of passion is your excuse for continuing to vote for Democrats. Ruto, thank you for the super chat. Carlos FD calling you out. Vote Gavin Newsom. Look, me and Gavin go way back, so it's a little different. It's a personal relationship. Like, that's the homie right there. You know what I mean? So, like, I've been to a couple of his pool parties. It's cool. It's just different when you're from the same neighborhood and you know each other, you know? So it's like, I just want to see all my dogs win, bro. That's different. It's a different thing, dog. It's just different. You know, when you grow up with somebody, it's not real about their politics.
But FD, over 50% of the country did not just support Black Lives Matter in the spring of 2020. They supported burning down a police station. It was like almost 60% of Americans supported burning down a police station. That's how radical they were after watching George Floyd get.
But that's not real radicalism. That's reaction. Well, I kind of say it here, so I'm cutting myself off at this point. Remember when Black Lives were mattering?
Yeah.
Just that they got shot and killed by police a few times. Yeah. That's been happening the whole time. Yeah. The problem is they killed George Floyd and we didn't burn everything down. And once these folks understood that everything wasn't going to come down, it was all negotiable. And it's that simple.
Man, it's so fucking perplexing. It's so fucking perplexing. This is why I feel like, bro, like, hold on. Are we getting played here? Should I have the same level of suspicion that I have for Brianna Joy-Gray for FD Signifier? Because it seems less suspicious when you're like consistently writing, the fence. At least it's like, all right, I can see that you're fucking trying to rationalize maintaining the status quo. And maybe that honesty, or what appears to be honesty of saying like, no, I recognize where the other side is coming from, the people to my left. But man, like, it's just, if you're saying, oh, the fact that we didn't burn this whole shit fucking down and we negotiated, signal to them that they can't take it seriously, that there's not going to be any accountability or consequences for their continuous murder of Black people. But then you turn around and say, like, just vote for them. What's the big deal? Just vote for them. Just vote for them. What's the big deal? Just continue voting for them. What's the big deal? Just lie about voting for them. We should have burned it all down, is what he was saying. Or he didn't say that, but he was implying that if we wanted actual change. But since we didn't, just vote for them. I'm sorry, I thought I was the one that was advocating for only revolution, no fucking other option. That's interesting. So burn it down or sell out.
We are not France. We are not insert other countries here where we about to hit the streets. Shout out to all them folks in Minneapolis that hit the streets a couple of months ago when they killed them 2 people. But until we cross over to that spot, a lot of this like complete divestment and ignorance of the system to me just is very performative. But see, good fella, cynicism is good. I'm hopeful at the same time. I am not cynical as in nothing matters, as in we're all doomed. I'm not nihilistic, thank you. There you go. Cynical just means I don't fucking believe you. That's all that means. Cynicism means I recognize this system and this structure for what it actually exists as. And so regardless of whether or not I vote for you or don't vote for you, if I say I support you or don't support you, if you say you are for X, Y, and Z or not, I don't believe you until I have a material result of that work in my hand. Or not, I don't believe you until I have a material result of.
What makes this concerning is that for all intents and purposes, the Democratic Party or liberal politics have already benefited and shown FD success. So realistically, materially speaking, the only people that he can believe, because it's that show me the money moment, has been provided through the Democratic Party and liberalism. So, you know, it's a lot of like, what have you done for me lately? Or what can you show me that you've done for me? What can you demonstrate the material results of me supporting you are? And if we're taking that approach, then yeah, surely continuing to vote for the Democratic Party is in your best interest. But that's not necessarily how solidarity works. And if you're saying, well, specifically the Black community, or generally speaking, oppressed people here within the belly of the beast has suffered enough, let them fucking eat cake. And remember back then, cake was referenced to like crumbs, right? If that's your approach, think about the poor people here while neglecting and ignoring having international solidarity with people that would fucking kill to be in the position that you're in. Not UFD specifically.
Harris, you got a problem?
But to be within the belly of the beast struggling. But this is a great like marketing fucking ploy. This is a great marketing ploy. The writing the fans is very fucking smart, because you're essentially, while you can say, oh, I'm getting criticized from people to my left and right, but you're also getting praise and benefiting from people both on your left and your right. The people that give you the benefit of the doubt on either ends of the fence, from people that want to pull you over to their side on either side of the fence, right? So you are essentially double dipping. You are double dipping, which is great. It's great for your pocket at the end of the day. It's great for your marketing. It's great for your numbers. It's great for the algorithm. You're double dipping on both sides. That's what it is. Let's recognize that aspect of it. Let's be honest about at least that. And then we could, push forward. Now, it's not like, I'm not saying fucking shut up and dribble or whatever fucking racist nonsense. I'm just saying I kept hearing that FD was going to stop talking about politics, and that seemingly has not happened. But I'm going to fucking react and respond to this the same way I would with anyone else. But I have been told, you have to understand that what FD is doing is even more fucking dangerous than somebody like Hassan Piker, because of the fence sitting. That is more, it's more comfortable, it's more alluring to people. And it makes them comfortable sitting on the fence on these issues as well. You can't be neutral on a moving train, especially when that train is fucking causing a genocide. And now you might say that it's just virtual signaling, it's just trying to make yourself feel better, pat yourself in the back by not supporting the Democratic Party.
But at the end of the day, the same way that you're trying to downplay supporting a genocidal party by saying just press the button, you could even lie about it. I'm saying that exact same thing. Hey, you don't have to press that button. You don't have to sell your soul. All right, pressing that button is not going to mean the difference between somebody actually like within the ability to be living or dying. Because if it did, pressing the button for Obama would have guaranteed that the black women that you use as a talking point would never have gone through that. So what button would actually address that? And how many buttons do we have to press? Well, they're dropping bombs on Palestinians, while they're dropping bombs on Iran. How many buttons do we have to press? How much agony, horror, torment, carnage do we have to ignore in order to press that button? Do me a favor, y'all. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell if you want to know when I go live. And of course, if you want to help support the channel, check out the Patreon, where for $2 you get access to the Discord. Check out the unofficial book club on Saturdays. They're currently on Meditations on Fanon's Record of the Earth, as well as the article readings on Sundays and the occasional watch parties. If you want to help support without anyone skimming off the top, hit up the Cash App, Deculturation on everything. All information is on the description. I appreciate it. I don't know what else to say about that. Let's wrap up here. Remember what Glenn Ford said, organize with eyes wide open. And as always, La Beast by John Trudell. See you here. In a wisp of smoke down on the corner, there was this cat named Fortunately, talking at me from voices in his head, yelling about what storyteller said. You gotta be careful here, child. There's a beast in the promised land. There's madness you don't understand. The beast is crazed and running wild. Little boy, man, little girl, woman, no big deal, nothing personal. Your mind's another meal. Savoring the rush of you like heady wine. Feeding is what the beast is meant to do. Stranger are those walls built to hide. Stranger to look and learn not to see. He's in the mask you put on your face. Thoughts, his favorite breeding place. In the race to midnight, it's after 11. The nature of the beast is all he knows. Behind doors of hell are gates of heaven. Doors are open, but the gates are closed. Yes, dude.